You know it's this. Take a break and talk it and see. Money swallowed like sis. They done perfected the kid. Got a billion take on my head. I've been better put on the road I just went. I know we got $1 million. The devil they see they not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of What If Deku and Hero Academia joins Power Rangers. Smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. UA, High School Ground Beta City B morning. Now back to the action. Midoriya began to show off what he could do. Hope you're ready for a magic show, Midoriya said, flapping his cape. A faux villain leaps into the air and attacks Midoriya but unsheathes his MHA staff to counter the robot. MHA staff, do your thing. Ball transformation. Midoriya pointed the MHA staff at the faux villain as green energy came out of the staff, and then the robot froze in the air, turning into a ball. The ball then started to bounce on the ground as it came to Midoriya, who stopped it by placing his foot on top of the ball. Nice. Who doesn't love soccer? Let's have some kicks. Hiya. Midoriya then kicks the ball at one of the enemies, destroying the robot as it bounces off a few more of them. Then it came back to him, and he kicked it back to them with a flying spin kick, destroying another faux villain, but it caused the ball to fling into the air. Midoriya suddenly leaps into the sky and kicks the ball back down with a backflip. The ball comes back down at incredible speed, causing an explosion upon contact with the ground, destroying a group of 10 robots at the same time. Midoriya lands back on the ground and rushes to the next robot in his sight. With Midoriya kicking the robot's butt, Yui was kicking things into overdrive. Drive Lance, Yui said as the headlights on her helmet started to glow red, summoning her lance. She then grabs the drive lance with both hands and swings it a few times. Hiya. Yui jumped forward in the air, straight towards the faux villains. She floated to a 2 and 3 pointer, then slashed both of them in half with the tip of the lance and used the momentum to spin over to 3 more faux villains, cutting them all down in one strike. One robot leaps at her to attack, but Yui spins her lance, then slams it to the ground and uses it to pull herself up in the air with her left hand. She then delivers a powerful right kick to the faux villain, creating a red shockwave that sends the robot back, knocking into 5 more faux villains and destroying them all in an explosion. With Yui doing her own thing, Jiru was unleashing her fury. Jiru jumps at a group of faux villains, slowly landing on the ground, not because delivering an elbow jab to a robot, breaking it into pieces, then blocks an attack from another robot before knee jabbing it to destruction. She then quickly destroyed a 1-pointer with another elbow jab and swiftly kicked a 3-pointer to pieces. Suddenly, 2 faux villains charged at her. Jiru saw this and ran on top of a car to avoid them. Then knee kicks a 2-pointer to pieces. She destroys 4 faux villains spinning kicks. Come on, boys. And just getting warmed up, Jiru shouted, leaping off the car and flying at 2 robots. Then both of her kneecaps started to glow dark purple energy and delivered a double knee jab attack on both faux villains, shattering them as they exploded. Who's next? Jiru said, getting into a fighting stance and charging at her next opponent. Meanwhile, the Rangers fighting off a herd of robots. The teachers and examinees were watching them in both shock and amazement, as the Hero Force Rangers were tearing through the faux villains like it was child's play. All of them couldn't believe what they were seeing right now, especially Aizawa. As Aizawa said before, he noticed that upon wearing those costumes, their strength, speed, and reaction time increased. He was wondering whether they had multiple quirks or if it was just the costumes granting them their abilities. Toshinori was shivering when he saw the 4 kids display power. It was like they had multiple quirks, which made Toshinori think of him and wonder if he was responsible for this, but made the number 1 shrugs off the thought of that because he died. He continues to watch them, especially young Midoriya, as he was doing extremely well for a quirkless person. Midnight, like the other pros, is amazed by their performances, especially Ren's, as her body was twitching in ecstasy. For her, there was something so elegant and youthful about Ren's big announcement, leading his teammates, cutting through the faux villains like paper, and moving and reacting at an increased speed. And while she did her best to hide her strong elation from everyone, her blushing cheeks and her smirk that etched itself on her luscious lips were able to make their presence as she continued to stare at the golden boy slashing through robots left and right. Nezu was beyond interested in this performance that the Hero Force Rangers were displaying, as he had never seen this before except for that guy who All Might killed 5 years ago. He was curious about the devices they used to change into their outfits. Were the quirks, or was it created by someone or something else? As much as he wanted his questions answered, they will have to wait for another time. Holy crap, Please tell me I'm not dreaming right now, a boy said, waiting for the display. No, you're not dreaming, because I'm seeing this too, a girl said with widened eyes. Those four are tearing those robots a new one, another boy shouted in surprise and excitement. Who are they? Yurikara asked in awe, unable to look away from the action. I have no clue, but I do know one thing for sure is that they're going to pass, Kendo said, looking at Midoriya and couldn't help but to impressed by his display of power. Wait a minute, that guy in the gold costume, I've seen him before on TV, another girl in the crowd shouted, getting every student's attention. He's that quirkless boy who stopped the sludge villain. This made all the examinees gasp in surprise with widened eyes, remembering the sludge villain incident as clear as day. The outfit he's wearing is different, but it looks familiar. To think they didn't recognize him until now after he transformed. But now there were three others with colorful outfits, and one of them was the green-haired boy they underestimated earlier. So he's taking the exam too. Ida, Yurikara, and Kendo thought about Ren at the same time. Midoriya rolls on the floor next to more robots before getting back up and blocking one of their attacks with his left arm. He roundhouse kicks three of them to pieces and then runs at a two-pointer to deliver a flying kick, destroying the robot. He uses the momentum of the kick to push himself at a three-pointer that was jumping at him and punching it to pieces, creating a green shockwave. Look at him go. They can't even touch him, a random guy said. I can't believe we underestimated this guy, another boy said, feeling stupid. Midoriya saw 9 of them approaching him and saw a tree nearby, which gave him an idea. He quickly ran to the tree and grabbed off one of the branches, which confused everyone there. Let's see what I can do with this. Midoriya threw the branch at the faux villains and pointed his Magi staff forward. Magi staff, huh? He said, casting the spell on the branch as it glowed green while split into 3 different pieces and wraps around the 9 faux villains, binding them in place, surprising the teachers and students once again. Midoriya smiled and held up his staff. Magi staff, axe mode. The short staff turned into an axe, which further surprised everyone yet again. Take this. Midoriya slammed his axe down on the ground, sending a wave of green magical energy into the ground, which then moved towards the 9 faux villains and destroyed all of them. Green has always been my favorite color, Midoriya said, continuing to slam his axe down on more robots. He's incredible, Yurikara said with her eyes sparkling. He sure is, Kendo said with a smile, thinking of how cool Midoriya looks right now. Yui spun her body around, spinning her lance and hitting multiple robots surrounding her. She then used the switch the drive lance to grab mode to grab a 3-pointer by the neck and swing it into 3 more faux villains before breaking down along with the 3 other robots. Yui then switched the lance back to blade mode and placed her weapon on the back of her neck to block 2 more robot assaults. She pushes them back, then spins around some more, still holding the drive lance on her neck, striking down more robots. Suddenly, 2 faux villains attack her, only for Yui to quickly block the attacks with her lance and swing it around, destroying 4 more robots. Then drives the tip of the lance into a 1-pointer, killing it. Dude, that girl's on fire, a boy said. The way she moves, it's almost like she's dancing. Aoyama is impressed by Yui's moves. Yui then saw a group of faux villains charging at her, but she avoided it by using her lance to push herself in the air and flips over them. Yui's helmet started to flash red once again. Red lion time, Yui exclaimed, then spinning the drive lance a few times before holding it with both hands and rushing at the group of robots in the blink of an eye with the image of a red dump truck mowing them down. When Yui stopped in her tracks, an explosion happened behind her which shocked the crowd. I love being a Power Ranger, Yui quietly said with a tiny smile behind her helmet. Holy shit, she took them down in an instant. The girl cried out. Such speed and power, Ida said in surprise, almost feeling outclassed. Jiru saw a 2-pointer jump at her, only for her to kick it to pieces and knee jab a near robot into the air. Then she elbows and jabs a 3-pointer rushing at her, breaking it and jumping into the air to kick the 2-pointer she sent in the air early, creating a purple shockwave and destroying the robot. Jiru then dodges a 1-pointer attack and kicks it to death. She was evading more attacks and grabbed a faux villain's arm behind her. Jiru quickly jabbed the robot to pieces, then another robot jumped at her from behind. Jiru saw this coming and turned around to deliver a powerful left kick that created another shockwave, destroying the faux villain. I can get used to this, Jiru said with a shit-eating grin. Wow, look at those moves, a boy said out loud. Her martial arts is incredible, Kendo said in awe, hoping to pick up a few new moves. Jiru leaped out of the way from another attack, but she handed straight for a building's wall. But Jiru placed her right foot on the wall and launched herself back at the faux villains while englobing her right elbow with more energy strike, crushing 2 robots. She then sees a group of robots changing at her. Alright, time for some extra wolf power. Jiru said, surrounding her body in dark purple energy while doing hand movements. Call to the beast inside, release the wolf. She thrust her hands forward, projecting a giant image of the wolf spirit, which caught everyone by surprise. Then the wolf spirit swung its claws at the faux villains, wiping them all out in a matter of seconds before disappearing. Did she just summon a giant purple wolf? Irakara asked with her eyes widened again. Yeah, she did, a random girl said in a stunned state. Ren cuts down another robot, only for a two-pointer to leap at him from behind. But Ren saw this coming and slashed the robot a few times before sheathing his sword, for the two-pointer to be cut into pieces in midair. Give me more, you hunks of junk, Ren said before leaping at more robots. He slashes a one-pointer in the crest and finishes it off by slashing its back, then reheats his blade. Then a three-pointer attacks with its arm, but only for Ren to block the attack by drawing the Barracuda blade halfway out of its sheath. He then pushes the robot back and cuts it in the crest, destroying it. When that was done, Ren used his sheath to hit a one-pointer in the head and stab the robot in the crest. Then he follows up by cutting through the one-pointer's insides, sending its pieces flying around, and breaking it down. Such a strange way of fighting, Ida said out loud. I agree, it isn't very beautiful, Aoyama said in disappointment. Who cares? It's still good, Kendo said, correcting the blonde boy. Ren jumps in the air, cutting down two more faux villains in midair as he slowly lands back on the ground, resheathing his weapon. Ren then runs at a group of robots and leaps off one of the faux villains' heads to soar in the sky before he slowly lands in the middle of a group of faux villains. Ren wasted no time slashing all the robots around him and finished his attacks with one last spin/attack. Then he resheathes his Barracuda blade, only for all the faux villains and even the ones that weren't near him to spark and explode. This surprised the boy slightly. Man, this thing's a lot sharper than I thought, Ren said to himself, looking at the Barracuda blade. Then he noticed 12 more robots coming to attack him. It's time to go for the gold, Ren said while opening his disc buckle to reveal the coral disc inside. He grabbed the samurai disc and placed it on his Barracuda blade. Barracuda blade. Then the samurai disc flashed a few times. Ren then leaped to the 12 robots at an incredible speed. Barracuda bite, Ren yelled, hovering over the robots and slashing all of them in every direction very quickly as he was circling around them just as fast as he was attacking. When Ren landed back on his feet, he turned around with his back to the faux villains and sheathed the Barracuda blade. At the same time, the 12 robots all were cut into pieces and exploded, making Ren look like a boss to all who witnessed him. Yeah, these powers rule, Ren cheered in excitement. How is he able to move that fast? Me and my brother aren't even capable of moving at that speed. Ida was stunned at how fast Ren was moving. Such a dazzling attack, Aoyama said with a smile. All of the students were enjoying the show, as the Rangers were taking down the robots like it was nothing to them. This made teachers disappointed as they were supposed to be future generations of heroes, yet they were watching the fight like kids. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, President Mike announced, which made the students scattered across the city to find more robots to destroy while others stayed behind since they were confident about passing. As interesting as this is, Ida said, getting the attention of both Irakara and Kendo. We still have an exam to take, remaining them. You're right, don't want to fall behind with them taking out most of the villains, Kendo said, cracking her hands. Yeah, Irakara said with a smile, and after seeing them fight, it gets me fired up to do my best too. Then let's be sure to pass, Ida said as the three of them sped up to find more robots to fight. UA, High School Observation Room morning. Those kids are impressive, Cemento stated. It looks like those costumes they're wearing boosted their power rather than supporting them. Superhuman strength, superhuman speed, superhuman agility, superhuman reflexes, weapons summoning, weapons changing, hand-to-hand combat skills, swordsmanship skills, spearmanship skills, axemanship skills, energy manipulation, tree manipulation, shockwaves, and animal summoning. Aizawa lists off all of the Rangers' feats. It's almost as if those costumes are granting them multiple quirks. That thought scared Toshinori to his very core. No, it can't be him. He shook his head, pushing off the idea. Yeah, there's no way a costume can increase or give a person multiple quirks. Power Loader was impressed with the costumes. If someone made those costumes, then I would wish to pay them a visit. I don't think those costumes were made by anyone considering they just appeared on them. 13 said to him. They weren't able to do any of this until they changed. You're right, Aizawa nodded in agreement. Those devices they used must be highly advanced technology that grants quirks. If that's true, then this will completely change hero society as we know it. Ectoplasm said, feeling it will only cause problems in the future. But who would make such devices and why give them to children? Vlad King said, this seems highly irresponsible. Either way, I wanted them in my class, especially Amamiya, Aizawa said with a smile. Hey, Eraser, don't get ahead of yourself. Vlad King protected. You can't have all of them. And if anything, Amamiya should be in my class. He's going fit well in there, so that you can give him a pep talk about strength being the key factor of a hero. No thank you, he'll waste his potential with you teaching him, Aizawa said, which angered Vlad King. Why yo, he was cut off by the principal. Now, let's not make an argument out of this, Nezu said, stopping the argument. We can decide on who will be in what class later. Right now, let's just focus on the exam, he said, looking at the remaining time. I think it's about time we release the 0 pointers, Nezu said to others. Snipe, please press the button. Yes sir, he said. Well, there's still plenty of time before it's over. The real test has yet to come, Snipe said, opening a case that contained a button. He pressed it, finishing up. Let's see how they react. UA, High School Ground Beta City B morning. The Rangers regrouped with each other and ran around the city until the ground was shaking. What's going on? Jiru yelled out. I don't know, but I got a bad feeling about this, Ren said. Yui was the first to see it and pointed. Look. The others looked in the direction she was pointing and saw a gigantic robot appear in the middle of the battle center. The students immediately ran past them as the Rangers were looking at the 0 pointer in awe. Gee guys, I think that might be the 0 pointer, Midoriya nervously said, seeing the number on its body. Really, Midoriya? What gave it away? Jiru angrily fired back at him. Ren, what do we do? Yui calmly asked. In this situation, there's no reason for us to fight it, so let's fall back, Ren said, nodding in agreement. As they were about to go, Midoriya heard a voice from the giant robot's direction. Help, somebody help me, the voice said as Midoriya stopped and saw Yurikara under a broken robot, screaming for help. It's that girl. Midoriya's eyes widened, then he turned team. Guys, wait. His teammates stopped and turned his way. Someone needs our help. He pointed at Yurikara. The other's eyes widened from this as the 0 pointer was slowly approaching her. Oh shit, we have to help her, Ren shouted. But how? We still have that 0 pointer to deal with, Jiru pointed out. Ren begins to think quickly about what they should do. Okay, I got an idea. I'll distract the 0 pointer, and when it's attention on me, you three will rescue the girl, Ren said to them. But how will you get its attention? Midoriya asked. I'll summon Zord and finish it off when you're all at a safe distance, Ren said, making them surprised by his plan. A Zord? Don't you think that's a little overkill? Jiru was the first to ask. Our Zords were made to fight against giant monsters, and I don't see any better time than to us one now, Ren stated. Okay, fair point. Jiru agrees with the statement. Now let's move out, Rangers, Ren commanded, with his teammates running away from him so he could summon his Zord. He then pulled out his samurai morpher from its holster with his right hand and flipped it open. Samurai morpher, Gold Tower, Ren said while typing in the code 072 in the morpher, activating his Zord. Claw Zord, I need you now, he shouted, holding up his morpher and sending the power symbol into the sky to open up a gigantic golden portal. This made everyone curious about what he was doing. But soon they will find out, because they're going to be in for a big surprise. Morphin Grid. Meanwhile, in the Morphin Grid, the Samurai Claw Zord heard the call and was ready for battle. Soon a portal opens up near the Claw Zord and it rushes into the portal as it closes behind him. While it is traveling through the portal, the Claw Zord begins to grow in size due to the symbol power in the portal as it sees the end of the tunnel. UA, High School Ground Beta City B morning. Back on the battle center, a 39-meter gigantic robotic golden blue lobster appeared out of the portal and was taller than the 0 pointer. It was maybe even taller than Mount Lady herself. This greatly shocked both the teachers and the students, mostly Toshinori, which made him fear something. Nezu dropped his teacup from the unexpected surprise, and Aizawa's eyes widened like a dinner plate. Ida, Aoyama, Kendo, and Yurikara's jaws dropped in shock at the Claw Zord's appearance and size. He summons the Samurai Claw Zord, Midoriya said while running to Yurikara. Yeah, Ren doing his part and we have to do our, Jiru said running next to him. Yui nodded behind them. Alright Claw Zord, let's put the pinch on this 0 pointer, Ren said, pressing the enter button on the morpher as the super kanji symbol appears on the screen. Samurai Morpher, Mega Mode Power. Then a golden vertex of symbol power suddenly appears above Ren. Inside at the top of the vertex was the Mega Blade. Then Ren sheathes his Barracuda blade and leaps into the vertex with his arms widened. As he passes through, his costume begins to change due to the energy of the golden vertex. When he exited the vertex, he was wearing a different outfit. The suit Ren's wearing is the Gold Samurai Ranger's Mega Mode outfit. It has a lot more armor compared to its base form. The suit lost its blue colors and was replaced with black. The samurai ranger sported a golden armor piece with the Y-shaped color printed on it, and the disc buckle turned golden as well. The suit also had gold armor pieces on the arms and legs. Ren flies straight to the Mega Blade and grabs the blade with his right hand, as the vertex under him dispels. Then he heads straight inside the Claw Zord, surprising the teachers and students who witnessed all of this yet again. Ren then suddenly appears in the cockpit of the Claw Zord, standing in front of a podium with the face of a gold lobster on the front of it. Claw Zord, time to cook, Ren said while switching the Mega Blade controller mode and inserting it into the podium to take control of the Zord. He then pulls out the claw disc and inserts it onto the podium. Okay buddy, let's make our fight Zord battle one to remember, he said to his Zord. The Claw Zord in return made some robot noises, but Ren could understand the Zord due to his connection to it. The Claw Zord was more than happy to help his partner. The Gold Ranger smiled at the Claw Zord response as he placed his hands on the Mega Blade, pushing it forward. Alright, it's showtime, Ren said. Then the Claw Zord begins to advance forward to the zero-pointer, hoping to stop it before it reaches Urakara. The zero-pointer noticed the Claw Zord coming to it and destroyed the top of a nearby building with its arm. But the building top it broke was right under Urakara, as falling debris was heading at her. Urakara saw this coming and closed her eyes, looking away in fear. Oh no, Jiru cried in worry. We're not going to make it in time, Yui said, running with all her might. Come on, Midoriya, think. Midoriya thought, trying to come up with a plan quickly before it was too late. Then he came up with an idea. That's it. He then pulled out his Magi staff and pointed at Urakara. Ubfis method Arboris. He cast the spell and then suddenly multiple tree roots came erupting out of the ground, surrounding Urakara in a tight tree barrier. The falling debris hit the tree roots, bouncing off of them and shielding the gravity girl from harm. Urakara opened her eyes to see she was okay, but was surprised to see a bunch of trees. The teachers were impressed by the quick thinking Midoriya pulled off to protect Urakara from the falling rubble. Nice going, Midoriya, Jiru complimented her teammate. Yui said with please. Thanks, now let's get her to safety, Midoriya said to them. The three of them finally reached Urakara, as Midoriya released his spell around her. They were about to remove the broken robot piece on her leg, but the zero-pointer was right over them, ready to attack them. Shit, it's here, Jiru said, looking up. Oh no, look out, Urakara cried out. I don't think so, Ren shouted as the Claw Zord grabbed the zero-pointer with both of its claws by the giant green robot's arms, holding it in place. Guys, now your chance. Get her out of here, he shouted to his teammates. Got it, Midoriya shouted back, then turned his attention to Urakara. Are you okay? Why yeah, I think so, Urakara responded. Come on, let's get this off of her, Jiru said, holding on to the robot piece. Kodai, help me move this thing. Yui nodded to her and held on to the broken part as well. Then with their combined strength, they pulled it off of her in no time. That should do it, Jiru said, then looked at her. Can you move? Urakara tried to get up but couldn't. No, she said in disappointment. That broken part must have hurt her ankle, Midoriya assumed before picking her up bride style, which caused the girl's cheeks to blush. We need to leave so Ren can finish this. Then let's move, Jiru said before they ran to the other examens. How are you feeling? Midoriya asked the girl. I'm fine, thanks, Urakara said, who was still blushing. How do you make that costume appear? Magic? Midoriya doesn't know how he is going to explain this without revealing too much information. Once he and the others were at a good distance away from the zero-pointer, he called back to Ren. Ren, go for it now. After hearing Midoriya giving him the green light, he was ready to end this. Okay, it's time to fly. Ren commented on the Claw Zord to pick up the zero-pointer. The Claw Zord easily lifted the zero-pointer off the ground by its arms and tossed it across the fake city as the giant robot landed on the floor hard. Luckily, he avoided destroying the building and any applicants. The fall managed to damage the zero-pointer a little as it was slowly getting back up on its feet. I don't really need to fight this thing, but I may never get another opportunity like this again, Ren said before making his decision. So let's make this a golden moment that they'll never forget. He grinned behind his helmet while taking out his samurai morpher. Now for our big trick. He typed in the code 223366 and pressed the enter button, as the East kanji symbol appeared on the screen. Claw Zord transformation, Ren said, thrusting his samurai morpher forward as the kanji symbol appeared out of his morpher before disappearing to give the comment to the Claw Zord. The Claw Zord begins to snap its pincher a few times before slamming its tail on the ground, lifting it up in the air. Then the lower part of the Zord's tail detached before the rest of its tail split into parts, and then both parts turned slightly with the lower parts switching into feet. The detached tail moved to the back side and flipped over to attach to the lower part of its back, while its lobster back legs were slightly raised so the tail could attach and move back down when it was done. Then the Zord's front legs moved up while both its claw arms rose down to a more human-like form. Then the claw Zord head detached from its body while its claws folded from the Zord's arms to its shoulders, replaced by 2 hands, with the claws clamping together on the Zord's shoulders. The detached head flips apart and moves to its back, attaching against the Zord's back with the antennas facing down to each side. In the front of the Megazord, its face was spinning like a disc wheel trying to select a form to use. Suddenly, inside the Zord's cockpit, a spinning disc appears next to Ren as the wheel is spinning with 4 different kanji symbols on the disc. "Time to call the Beast of the East," Ren said, removing the claw disc from the podium, flipping over to the other side, and reinserting it back into the podium. The other side of the claw disc had 4 different faces with the kanji symbols of North, South, East, and West. Then the spinning disc wheel stopped, showing the East kanji symbol. Suddenly outside the Megazord, its wheel face stopped spinning, landing on East, revealing a red human face with on its forehead. "Claw Battle Zord East, ready," Ren yelled as his Megazord transformation was complete, while the Megazord knocked its fists on its waist before doing a combat pose. Once again, for a second time, everyone was beyond shocked by the Zord's transformation. Eyeballs popped out of their skulls and jaws dropped to the ground again. Some dropped on their knees from the epic transformation and will never forget this moment as long as they live. Ida's glasses dropped off of his face from the transformation and was having a hard time processing everything that was happening. Aoyama's face sparkled like a Christmas tree and was extremely pleased by the golden design on the Megazord. Kendo was both stunned and amazed by the Megazord's appearance. In the observation room, the teacher were now beyond terrified by what Ren and possibly the other Rangers were capable of now, especially Nezu, All Might, and Aizawa, who aren't easily scared, and Power Loader, who almost fainted from the highly advanced robot that puts the best robotic technology to shame. They have seen many things in their career as heroes, but this just takes the cake. What just happened? Did that LL lobster robot just CC changed formed? Yurikara yelled, eyes widened again in pure shock, still being held by Midoriya. "It's the Claw Battle Zord," Midoriya said in happiness, getting to see an actual Megazord up close. "God damn it, Ren, you are such a show-off." Jiru shook her head but couldn't hold back her smile. "It's magnificent," Yui whispered with a tiny smile. "Claw Battle Zord," Yurikara said, feeling left out of this conversation. Meanwhile, the zero-pointer got back on its feet and charged at the Claw Battle Zord. It punches the Megazord in the chest, but the attack didn't even phase the Megazord. The punch did was break the zero-pointer arm apart. I'm not even surprised by that. I mean, Zords and Megazords were built to fight against giant opponents. Not only that, but the Claw Battle Zord was already bigger than the zero-pointer even before the transform. Ren commented. Then Ren commanded the Claw Battle Zord to punch off the zero-pointer another arm, sending it slightly back. With both of the zero-pointer's hands gone, Ren was ready to end this fight. Music, Power Rangers Samurai, opening theme. "Time to finish this," Ren said, pulling out the Mega Blade from the podium. "Mega Blade activate," Ren said while spinning the blade in his right hand, then put his left finger in the lever on the bottom and pulled it as the Mega Blade popped open with the blade shining for a brief second. Go Power Rangers. Hiya, Kia. Ren swings the Mega Blade a few times before resting the blade on the top of his left hand. The Claw Battle Zord's claws fold back down to its arms, then the Megazord raises its arms and clamps its claws. "Claw Battle Zord East, ready," Ren shouted. Go Power Rangers. Claw Battle Zord East, Ren said while moving the Mega Blade in his hands and holding it with both hands on each end of the blade. Claw Pincher Slash, Rangers together. Then Ren slashes with the Mega Blade 2 times. Samurai Forever. The Claw Battle Zord mimics the movement Ren commanded and then unleashes a massive red double energy slash on the zero-pointer. The zero-pointer was merely slashed twice by the Megazord's attack. Go Power Rangers. You're done, Ren declared. Go Power Rangers. The zero-pointer begins to spark electricity from all over its body due to the damage it took and starts to fall over. Rangers together. And then upon hitting the ground, the zero-pointer explodes in a fiery giant explosion that completely destroys the robot, leaving no trace of it behind. Samurai Forever. Hell yeah, baby, Ren cheered in celebration. Hero Force Rangers, victory is ours. Present Mike tapping a button on his watch. And that's it. He raised his hand, jumping as he broadcasted his voice. Tian's up. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the UA entrance exam comes to a close. Despite the announcement of Present Mike, no one moved from their spots as they were still trying to process everything that they witnessed. There was one too many surprises after another with these Hero Force Rangers. But all the students can say one thing for sure is that this was the most amazing thing they had ever seen in their entire lives. UA High School Observation Room Morning. The teachers who were observing were in complete beyond shock at the Hero Force Rangers' display of power and the Megazord battle. What the hell just happened? Present Mike yelled in his earpiece to the other heroes, breaking them out of their stunned states. I have no idea, 13 silently said in her sit. A giant robot, Power Loader quietly said before yelling. This kid has a giant robot even bigger than our 0 pointers. And if that wasn't enough, he can transform it to a human form. He was clearly freaking out. Majima, please calm down. Ectoplasm trying to calm down his fellow hero. Calm? How can you expect me to be calm? Power Loader shouted back at him. For all of my years of being a developer, I have never witnessed something like this before. Hell, not even the top scientists at the Island were about to create something like that giant robotic lobster. Okay, you make a fair point, but please control your... Cementos asked. Yeah, times like these is when you need to stay the calmest. Spine added on. Aizawa, Vlad said to his rival, getting his attention. Amamiya will be in your class, he said in a stunned state. You don't want him anymore? Aizawa asked, a bit curious on why Vlad King would rather throw Amamiya on him since he was arguing early about him being in his class. That kid scares me. I don't want my class to even train with him. It's just too much baggage to handle, Vlad King answered honestly. Unlike Vlad King, Aizawa was more content on bringing him to his class. But what about the other 3? Aizawa asked. Vlad sighed in response and gave his answer. Amami is out of the question, but I think I can handle one of them. Aizawa nodded in response. 3 rangers in his class wasn't a bad deal at all. Even known they broke a number of rules during the test, you still have to admit that was pretty impressive. Midnight said, being impressed by Amamiya's show of power. Meanwhile, despite his fear, All Might was looking at the Hero Force Rangers with narrowed eyes. They have so much power, but didn't the both of them say they were quirkless? And why does young Midoriya, Jiru, Kodai have costumes similar to young Amamiya's, gaining that range of abilities in such a short amount of time? There's only one man I know who could do that. Toshinori thought to himself. Thought how did make those costumes appear like that? They had different devices to help them change. I have to watch those 4 carefully. Toshinori though back to the day he first met Midoriya, and how felt after he saw him trying to save Bakugou. And then when Amamiya showing up to save the both of them. That boy was a big mystery from the day he seen him. Could young Amamiya be working for him, and had young Midoriya join his side for power? But what does young Jiru and Kodai have to do with this? He thought in worry. And I told him he couldn't be a hero. If he did end up going to him for power, then it's most likely my fault. Toshinori though sadly, feeling like Midoriya could have made a great successor if he had gotten to him that day. Before anyone said anything else, a burst of laughter fills the room. It was Nezu who was madly laughing maniacally like he had heard the best joke of his life. Nezu still laughing. This has to be one of the most greatest show of powers that UA had seen in years since All Might. He was laughing between his sentences. Nezu, this is not something we can take lightly, Toshinori worriedly asked. The way they fight almost reminded me of him. Nezu then began to calm down his laughter. When we had our spy droids scan them, it didn't detect any quirks in Midoriya or Amamiya. As for Kodai and Jiru, nothing has changed either and still had their quirks as well, Nezu said, which surprised the teachers. Those devices they used must be the key to their abilities. So, they somehow invented devices that acts like quirk. That impossible, Spine stated. Even if it is, it would be revolutionary and would be in the hands of the quirk scientists. Why does this kids have them? And more importantly, why do they look like toys? Cementos wondered. And how do they have a giant robot? 13 said. That seems way too dangerous to be used by a child. It would be much more quicker to find out if we just asked them. Ectoplasm suggested. No, we're not going to do anything yet, Nezu calmly said, which surprised the other teacher. What do you mean? Toshinori asked. I'm saying now is not the best time to ask them questions with the exam over now, Nezu said to them. We don't know what they are fully capable of, and they're nothing more foolish than to blindly fighting a foe without knowing the existence of their powers. We must prepare ourselves for this probably. He finished explaining his reasoning. While most of them didn't like the idea of letting those kids walk away without getting answers, but couldn't argue with the principal logic and thinks it was the best choice of action. I agree with Nezu. We will have to prepare for these problem children if we want to get our answers out of them, Aizawa said in agreement. Toshinori was still feeling cautious about them because of their strange abilities. He's praying that he was wrong about them being connected to him. Meet the UA teachers. UA High School Ground Beta City B morning. Back in the battle center, Ren leaves the Claw Battle Zord's cockpit as his costume switches back to normal before the Claw Battle Zord changes back into its lobster form. Thanks, Claw Zord. I'll call you again if I need you, Ren shouted. The Claw Zord slightly moved his body, accepting the thanks before fading in a golden light, returning back to the Morphin Grid, which surprised everyone. Meanwhile, Midoriya, Jiru, and Yui watched everything unfold. Looks like we're done, Jiru said. Thank goodness, Midoriya sighed in relief. Yui said in agreement. Ren then walked up to them. I'm only going to say this once. That was awesome, Ren said out loud. You're damn right it was, Jiru said smiling. Yui said louder. Your first Megazord battle was amazing, Midoriya happily said. Urikara said, getting their attention. Can you please put me down? She was still in Midoriya's arms. Right, Midoriya nervously said, putting her down on the ground. You're safe now. Why yeah, the girl said, was still left speechless from the giant robot fight. Power down, all the rangers said to morph out of their outfits, surprising everyone again. Wow, I'm not as tired as I was when I first demorph, Ren said to himself, only feeling slightly tired. All that power and it vanished in an instant, Midoriya said, looking at his hands. I guess all that training Tommy put us through is paying off, Jiru said to them. Yui nodded. As the rangers were talking to each other, the students were giving them a weird stare, like they were looking at some kind of freaks of nature. Soon the applicants murmured about the 4 Power Rangers. Who are they? Are they allowed to wear those costumes? Someone asked. Don't know, but it was awesome, a guy said. I still can't believe that quirkless guy was taking the exam, a girl said. Yeah, and the costume he used was completely different from the one he used against the sludge villain, a boy said. That new outfit was even better than his red one, another girl said. And that giant lobster robot transformation thingy was insane, a girl said. Meanwhile, Ida and Kendo were slightly listening to the others and looking at the rangers. Man, that was nuts but was so cool, Kendo thought, looking at Midoriya. I hope you pass, Midoriya, cause I would like to see what else you can do. She smiled, looking forward to the future. Ida was impressed with the rangers' actions. I can't believe it. They saved that girl even though it wasn't necessary. He looked at them and then remembered the words of Ren. Not only that, but you don't know jack shit about him or how hard he worked to be here. So don't you dare say he isn't taking this seriously. He remembers. Ida clenches his hand into a fist, feeling disappointed in himself for how he threatened Midoriya. I was wrong about him. He's more of a hero than I'll ever be. Not just him, but also that quirkless boy and 2 girls. They sacrificed themselves like true heroes and worked together perfectly. He thought, if this wasn't an exam then I would have done the same thing as well. Ida thought before realizing something. Wait, the exam and judges. They saw all that. Good work, very nice. You're heroes in my eyes, one of you. The students turned their heads to see an old woman wandered through the crowd, her cane clicking on the ground with each step. Her name is Chiyo Shuzenji, also known as Youthful Heroine, Recovery Girl. She is a short, elderly woman with gray hair styled into a netted bun, a large syringe poking diagonally out of it to the left. She has a notably small nose and eyes which are usually drawn as 2 little dashes, and a long mouth with defined nasolabial folds. She wears a doctor's lab coat and a dress with yellow and red vest-like designs on either side, 2 yellow buttons, and a belt with a pink R-shaped buckle. She wears pink boots and has a helmet around the sides of her head, a purple-tinted visor joining it over her eyes. In addition, she walks with a cane designed like a syringe. She dug in her pocket, placing gummies in a boy's hand. Here, reward yourselves. Have some gummies, the old lady said. Who's she? Ren asked, looking at the old woman. That Recovery Girl. She's a Venture Pro hero. Her quirk allows her to amplify and speed up the human body's natural healing process by planting a kiss on the injured person, Midoriya said in excitement, seeing another Frames hero. As expected of you, Midoriya, Jiru said with a tiny smile. Ren thought that was an impressive power to have. To heal any injuries anytime you want could help out a lot of people. It's true, madam, Aoyama said, appearing behind them, sparkling. Oh, it's you again, Ren said in a non-impressive tone, not wanting to deal with this guy again. You know him? Yui asked him. Just some weirdo I ran into during the exam, Ren said. Recovery Girl walked up to Rangers and said, now what seems to be the problem, dearies? As she hurt her ankle when a robot F fall on it, Midoriya explained to her. I see. That will be a quick fix, Recovery Girl said, walking up to Urikara. Just stand still, this will only take a second, the heroine said suddenly and made a kissy face and stretched her lips to the girl's ankle. The group saw a green glow around her ankle and saw the bruising disappear. As you can see, her leg is healing up nicely. She's the reason why UA can hold such reckless exams. She is saving that girl weeks of recovery time in only a few seconds. It's quite marvelous, Aoyama said, winking with his arms crossed. There you go, dearie, recovery girl said to Yurikara. Wow, her ankle healed instantly, Ren thought in the introduction. I expected nothing less from one of UA's stuff, Midoriya said with a smile. So how's your ankle now? Wow, it's as good as new, Yurikara said happily, stomping her ounces broken foot on the ground. Ren decided he had seen enough. Alright guys, let's get out of here, Ren said to his teammates, and they began to leave. Hey wait, Kendo yelled out, stopping the Rangers as they turned to her. It's her again, Midoriya thought. Hey Kendo, you need something? He asked the ponytail girl. Yeah, I have got to say Midoriya, you were amazing out there, and so were the rest of you. Kendo praised them for their performance. Thanks, it's W was nothing really, Midoriya said in embarrassment while rubbing his head. So, who are you guys? Yurikara asked them as the other students listened as well. We're the Power Rangers Hero Force, Ren said to her. Power Rangers Hero Force. Everyone thought, remembering them calling themselves that during their morph. What's that? Kendo asked. Sorry, but we can't tell you any more than we have to, Midoriya said, not wanting to push the convention forward. Yeah, so sorry, Jiru said to them. Now if you excuse us, we'll be taking our leaving, Ren said to them. Yui nodded in agreement. With that said, the Hero Force Rangers left the battle center, leaving the others with more questions than answers. Power Rangers Hero Force. That sounds like a hero team name. Recovery girl, though, looking at the Rangers leave. Who are they? She wondered. Amamiya resident afternoon. 1 week later. It's been over a week since the exam. Ren was at home playing Smash Bros. Ultimate on his Switch. Ren didn't know if he and his teammates passed or failed. He knows they've done pretty well on written exams and took out a lot of faux villains, but waiting to know the results is killing him. He then just knocked Browser off the platform with Pokemon Trainer and cleared the stage. Sighing in relief, Ren then fell back on his bed, relaxing his head. It's been over a week now. I wonder when they're going to see the exam results, Ren said to himself. There's nothing you can do but wait, Tommy said to him. I know, but waiting sucks, Ren said. Ren, can you come to the living room for a second? His father yelled. Ren got up from his bed and headed out of his room to see what his father wanted. You need something, Dad? Ren asked his father. A letter from UA arrived, Kenji said, handing his son a letter. Seriously? Ren said in surprise, taking the letter. I'll be in my room, he said, walking back to his room. Ren made his way back into his room and sat at his desk. Here goes nothing. He ripped it in half before a thin disc fell out. It clattered on the desk, emanating a blue light as it activated. A projection, Ren and Tommy both said before the screen displays a dark purple-haired woman wearing a red mask and a hero costume that looked similar to one of a traditional dominatrix, winking at the camera with a sultry pose and a flogger-style whip in her right hand. Hello, cutie, Midnight said in a flirting tone. Ren and Tommy just blinked multiple with widened eyes. Who the heck is she? Ren asked confusingly. That's the R-rated hero, Midnight. She's one of the teachers that works at UA. Tommy said to him. How do you know that? Ren asked the Tommy. I did my research, Tommy said, secretly hacking into UA systems a few days ago before the exam. I am the R-rated heroine, Midnight, one of the teachers at UA, and I'm here to show you your results of the UA entrance exam, she said. Ren prepared himself for this as he watched Midnight swing her whip towards the TV screen to her right. For the written portion, you passed with flying colors without getting a single answer wrong, with particular distinction in the general knowledge segment. Never before has that happened in UA's history, so very nice job, handsome. Midnight pauses, her lips with narrow eyes and a grin. This is where things get exciting. Exciting? Ren questions the R-rated heroine, even though it's a projection. Okay, as you already knew, this portion of the exam has you defending faux villains in order to earn points. You destroyed more robots than any other exam in there, and you were impressive and youthful. After running the calculations, this would make your total score tallied up to 141 villain points, which is more than enough to pass, she excitedly said. Ren's eyes slightly widened in shock. He knew he lost track of his score after he morphed and trashed the robots. Now then, you may be wondering, why did I call them villain points specifically? Midnight asks before tugging at the strings of her whip while wiggling her hips in excitement. Because, handsome, that's not your final score. Ren was caught by surprise. More. Tommy sees where this is going. Yes, in order to score points on the exam, you do need to take care of those robots. However, it's not graded solely on villain points. Midnight swings her whip to the other side before her irises contract in exhilaration. There are also points for people who do the right thing and risk their lives for others. We call them rescue points. Rescue points, Ren said in confusion. Those points, in particular, are given by a panel of judges. Heroism, like helping others when they get into an accident, is the basic ability we at UA look at. The more heroic the rescue is, the more rescue points the judges give in examens, she explained. Ren nodded in agreement with what she said. Heroes do more than fight villains, they help the innocent and protect the community. Right, let's take a look at your good deeds, shall we? Midnight says before cracking her whip at the screen next to her again, revealing footage of Ren helping the other examinees before Morphin. Here you are saving a few examens from faux villains' attacks. The judges decided to give you a few rescue points for that deed. Next and lastly, Midnight began before her breathing started to get hot with a little bit of drool trickling from her bottom lip. My most favorite highlight yet. This incredible display where you summon a giant robot to prevent a zero-pointer from running over this girl and your teammates before changing its form to destroy the robot in a spectacular display of power. A video was shown of Ren's actions during the exam. Unable to contain it any longer, Midnight hugs herself while squealing in delight and twisting her head and body side to side. Yes, it was such a youthful display. The way you cut and slash a part of those robots like they were paper, all while making heroic battle cries. Absolutely lovely and adorable. It turned me on so much, Midnight yelled with a large flush across her face. Now I'm starting to see why she's called the R-rated hero. Ren thought with sweat drop as he was watching Midnight getting worked up. She's rather enthusiastic, isn't she? Holo Tommy though. But then, Ren notices a hand of what appeared to him to be a runner of recording giving a stop motion to the R-rated heroine as if to tell her to tone it down, making her snap her head towards him with white eyes and shark teeth. What? Will you keep your mind out of the gutter? I can't help but find the display to be so epic. So what if it's a tad bit biased of me to root for the boy? She comedically told off screen. Ren and Holo Tommy couldn't help but sweat drop from what they saw. Midnight then coughs into her fist and looks back at the camera. Anyway, after performing such a wonderful display, the judges loved it so much that they've all agreed to issue you an additional 35 rescue points. And if you add them all together with you stopping the zero-pointer, you get a grand total of 80 rescue points. Ren was a bit surprised by how many rescue points he's gotten. Stopping that zero-pointer with the Claw Zord helped him out in the end. Now then, for your final score, Midnight announces before swinging her ship upwards. If we take the 141 villain points you've earned destroying faux villains and add them together with your giant robot battle 80 rescue points, your score is a grand total of. Midnight was silent for a moment before swinging her whip forward so it was pointing at the camera. 221 points, which puts you in first place on the entrance exam. Then the scores of the entrance exam were shown. Entrance exam rankings. First, Ren Amamiya villains points, 141 plus rescue points, 80 equals 221 points. Second, izukumidoriya villains points, 130 plus rescue points, 90 equals 220 points. Third, Yui Kodai villains points, 129 plus rescue points, 85 equals 214 points. Fourth, Kyokajiru villains points, 127 plus rescue points, 85 equals 212 points. Fifth, Katsuki Bakugou villains points, 77 plus rescue points, 0 equals 77 points. 6th, Eijiro Kirishima villains points, 39 plus rescue points, 35 equals 74 points. 7th, Ochako Uraraka villains points, 28 plus rescue points, 45 equals 73 points. 8th, Ibara Shizaki villains points, 36 plus rescue points, 32 equals 68 points. 9th, Itsuka Kendo villains points, 25 plus rescue points, 40 equals 65 points. 10th, Tenya Ada villains points, 52 plus rescue points, 9 equals 61 points. Ren's eyes widened in surprise at the score he saw. He got first place. That was something the old him never would have imagined if he didn't have his ranger powers. Then the video changed back to the R-rated hero. But that's not all cutie, Midnight said, getting his attention. Ren looked back at the hologram. Not only did you come in first place on the entrance exam by a large margin, but you also managed to beat All Might's previous 220 record by 1 point. Midnight announced, licking her lips. I beat All Might's old record. Ren thought in surprise. He beat the #1 hero record. Therefore, Ren Amamiya, you have been accepted into UA High School's Heroes Course, Class 1A, Midnight said before giving him an alluring wink and a heartwarming smile. I look forward to seeing you, Amamiya, for this is your hero academia. Ren couldn't help but smile at the results of the exam. He, Midoriya, Yui, and Jiru got in, and they can finally become true Power Rangers. Tommy also smiles at his students' success. Well done, kids. You're all becoming Power Rangers. However, they saw the video change from Midnight to a small white animal that Ren and Tommy couldn't tell if it was a bear, a mouse, or something else, but recognized as the principal of UA. Nezu. Hello, young Amamiya, Nezu said, drawing Ren and Tommy out of their thoughts. I would like to congratulate you and the rest of the Power Rangers Hero Force members on a job well done with the exam. If possible, I would like to have a meeting with you and the rest of your team before school starts, so if possible please come to the school tomorrow at 11:30. I will also be inviting most of the UA staff members and a few other people to this meeting. I look forward to seeing you all there. The recording then cut off after that, leaving Ren and Tommy in wonder. Tommy, Ren was the first to speak. It must have to do with what the four of you did at the entrance exam. Tommy assumed. If they're calling a meeting with so many pro heroes in one place, they probably wanted to question you all about your ranger powers. So what do we do? Tell them everything about the Power Rangers? He asked the hologram. That might be the only option we have, Tommy said, not seeing any other way out of this situation. But more importantly, you might want to contact the others and fill them in as well. Ren nodded before pulling out his phone to text the others. Ren, guys, we have a situation. Jiru, what happened? Ren, the principal of UA, wants us to talk about what happened at the exam. Midoriya, what? But why? Jiru, it's pretty obvious, Midoriya. Jiru, what we did at the entrance exam wasn't exactly normal. Midoriya, yeah, we all morph in front of everyone. Yui, not to mention the Megazord battle. Ren looked at Tommy and asked, did I make a mistake summoning the Claw Zord? It was a little over the top, but I probably would have done the same thing myself. Tommy answered. But any case, if they're asking for all of you to come, then they probably want answers. Which means we would have to spill the beans about the Power Rangers. Ren thought. They made it a rule in their group to not disclose too much information on the Power Rangers if possible. But if UA is involved, they don't have a choice. Midoriya, so what do we do? Ren, Tommy said that we might have to tell them everything. Ren, and I mean everything. Jiru, are you sure that's a good idea? Midoriya, didn't we agree not to say anything about the Power Rangers to anyone? Ren, yeah, but if we want to get into UA, then we don't have a choice but to talk. Yui, makes sense. Jiru, so when do they want to meet us? Ren, tomorrow at 11:30, so don't be late. Ren, leader's orders. Midoriya, Jiru, Yui, right. Ren puts down his phone and lets out an exhausting sigh. Tomorrow's going to be a long day, Ren said, running his hand over his hair. That I can agree with you on, Tommy said, not looking forward to tomorrow. UA, high school outside gate afternoon. The next day, Ren, Midoriya, Yui, and Jiru was making their way to UA. Wearing their street clothes, thinking about the coming conversation they were going to have. They decided to let Ren and Tommy do most of the talking, and prepare for revealing the truth about the Power Rangers. So we're really doing this, Jiru said, feeling uncomfortable about this whole mess. We don't have a choice, Ren said back to her. I guess this is what we get for showing off our abilities, Midoriya said. Yeah, Yui said quietly. When they made it to the entrance, they saw a man who looked like a block of cement standing next to the gate. It's the cement hero, Cementos, Midoriya shouted with excitement. Looks like they had someone waiting for us, Tommy said. Alright Rangers, prepare yourselves. As the four walked up to the gate entrance, Cementos nodded them. Ah, you're here, Cementos said, seeing the four Rangers walking up to them. I have your school ID. Here, so it will let you through the gate and give you access to other facilities on the campus. We figured we would give it to you all now since you'll be coming here anyway, he said, handing them each their own ID. As they took them. Thanks, Mrs. Cementos, Ren said with a slightly nodded. Thanks as well, Jiru said in a pleasant tone. Thank you, sir, Midoriya said, bowing in respect. Thank you, Yui said quietly in her neutral tone. Don't meant it. And by the way, you all did an excellent job on the exam, Cementos said to them. Now please follow me. Everyone is waiting for us, he said, walking into the gate. The Rangers followed him from behind as Cementos led them into the school and to the conference room. UA, high school conference room afternoon. When they arrived, Cementos opened the door, revealing multiple people sitting down at a long table, waiting for the Power Rangers to arrive. Nezu, Eraserhead, Toshinori, Midnight, Snipe, 13, Power Loader, Recovery Girl, Vlad King, Ectoplasm, Present Mike, Cementos, and two other people. The first one was a man named Ryo Inui, also known as the hunting dog hero, Hound Dog. He has the appearance of a dog due to his quirk. He has scruffy blonde hair sticking straight out behind his head. He also wears a muzzle over his slightly pointed snout in his hero costume. The second was a man named Naomasa Tsukachi, a detective of the Musutafu police force. He is a tall man with short, black hair and somewhat rectangular black eyes. He is wearing a white long-sleeved button-up shirt and black pants. Quite the crowd, Tommy thought looking around the room. The four rangers were slightly nervous from all of the pro heroes staring at them. So many of them. Looks like they are worried about our powers, Ren thought. He then knew Midnight from across the room, who winked at him. And that's something I don't need right now. Welcome young Amamiya, Midoriya, Jiru, and Kodai, Nezu said with a cheerful tone. I'm glad you all were able to make it. Please, take a seat. Ren, Midoriya, Jiru, and Yui took their seat in the room, sitting facing the teachers. Now then, Nezu said to them, I would like to ask you all some questions if you wouldn't mind. Sure, Ren said with his arms crossed. If possible could I bring someone else out for this? That question surprised the entire room. Wondering who Ren wanted to invite while All Might tense up, ready to jump into action if the need arose. And who is this person that you wish to invite? Tsukachi asked cautiously. The ones who gave us our morphers, Ren said holding up the master morpher along with Jiru, Yui and Midoriya doing the same. So someone did give you those devices, Aizawa said out loud. Why yes sir, Midoriya nervously said to him. I have to ask, why did you all begin those devices with you? Aizawa asked them. The four of you broke the rules at the exam. You all didn't submit a permit of support item usage. The four rangers just blinked a few times before face palming expected for Yui. Oh god damn it, I knew we forgot to do something, Ren said with his hand over his face. We're sorry, sir. We were in a hurry for the exam, it slipped our minds. Jiru apologizes to them. Normally, you all would fail for what you did, Aizawa said to them. But due to the principal, his eyes drifted to Nezu who was still smiling, who decided to make a special acceptance. Now, Aizawa, leave the children be now will you? Midnight said to him, only for him to look the other way. Now tell us, are those toys part of your quirks? Vlad King was the first to ask them. I'm pretty sure you all already know this, but me and Midoriya are quirkless, and our morphers aren't quirks, Ren said to them. Morphers? Power Loader asked in confusion. You mean those devices you used? Yes, it's what lets us turn into Power Rangers, Midoriya speaks. This surprised all of them, but they were wondering what a Power Ranger is. They're telling the truth, Tsukachi said to them. There are no lies in their words. Wait, he can tell we weren't lying, Ren thought before coming to a conclusion. Does he have a quirk that lets him know if someone is lying or not? Why didn't you all use those morpher at the beginning of the exam? Present Mike asked them. Because morphin in our ranger forms depletes our energy fast, Midoriya said to them. So wearing those outfits consumed your energy. Interesting, Samantha said writing down the information. Not only that but we made it a very strict rule in our group to only ever morphin when it's absolutely necessary, Jiru said. Oh, and what would that be? The detective asked them. If someone's life is in danger or to fight against a villain. Yui finally speaks. The person who gave us our morphers told us to never abuse those powers. So the only time we ever morph is when to rescue someone or to fight villains, Ren said to all of them in a serious tone. That caught them by surprise, not expecting that from them. Even All Might was taken aback by that. I see. A very noble rule to follow, Nezu said with a smile. Now, if you could, can you begin the person responsible for you having those morphers? He asked the rangers. This got them a little worried, not knowing how to explain this to them. Of course sir, Ren said to him. Tommy. Then Tommy appeared behind the rangers which surprised the heroes in the room. Greetings, UA, teachers, Principal Nezu, Detective Naomasa, and Toshinori, otherwise known as All Might. The hologram named off most of the people in the room. They each tensed up in turn, not expecting to know their names. When he identified All Might as his true form, the man buffed up immediately from when Tommy revealed his true form. He was growing more and more suspicious of the group. The rangers expected Midoriya and were surprised by what the number one hero did. Holy shit, it is All Might, Ren thought in surprise. Midoriya wasn't kidding. Toshinori, please control yourself, Recovery Girl shouted at him. How do you even know how All Might is? Hound Dog said growling a little. To answer your question, I hacked into UA system a few days before the entrance exam. You can learn a lot from video recording and security cameras, Tommy said with a smile. The heroes in the room were stunned by that fact, and All Might was sweating nervously on how his secret was found so easily. Nezu on the other hand didn't lose his smile. He was interested by the holographic man. I see, but who do I owe the pleasure of the man that hacked into our systems? Nezu said to the AI. My name is Tommy Oliver, or to be more accurate, I'm an AI. program that the original Tommy Oliver created. Holo Tommy said, surprising them. Fascinating. A real artificial intelligence. Nezu's eyes were shining from the reveal. An AI. I thought that only existed in movies and stuff. Present Mike said in confusion. Maybe not in this world. Holo Tommy said, which caught everyone off guard. What do you mean by this world? All Might asked, debuffing back to his skeleton form. It's what he means, All Might. Holo Tommy and her morphers aren't from here. They all came from another world completely different from this one. Ren said to the heroes. Everyone in the room's jaw dropped from the bombshell truth dropped on them. The idea of other worlds was mind-blowing. Other worlds? Okay, you're screwing with us. Spine asked skeptically. No sir, we're being serious, Jiru said. Tsukachi, are they telling the truth? Nezu asked the truth man. Yes, they are, Tsukachi said with a surprised look on his face. I know this is hard to believe, be they not lying. My quirk would have activated if they lied. The pros were now surprised by this. They know about the detective quirk very well, and if he says that they are not lying, then it must be true. But still, do you have any proof to those claims? Ectoplasm asked for solid proof. We do, Holo Tommy said, projecting a screen. This will take a while to explain, so make yourself comfortable. What are you going to show us? 13 asked. He's able to show you the history of the Power Rangers. Ren said to them. We heard you call yourself that. But what is a Power Ranger? All Might asked, with everyone in the room wanting to know as well. You see, back in Tommy's world there are no quirks or pro heroes, Midoriya said, shocking the teachers. No quirks or heroes, Midnight said with a stock look. Yep, in your world terms, it was the pre-quirk era when people were just regular humans with no powers whatsoever. Holo Tommy said to them. Interesting, but there's more to this, is it? Nezu said. Yes, there is sir, Ren confirmed. Back in Tommy's world, you would be surprised with how many times his planet came close to annihilation due to some evil alien invasions, demons from hell, time-traveling mutants, and killer robot empires. It was like there was a new threat to humanity almost every year. Ren explained. The heroes, on the other hand, had another shocked look on their faces from the information. Wait, aliens? Like real-life aliens? Cementos asked. Yes, aliens existed in my world, Holo Tommy said, and could understand their surprise. Wow, mind blown, Present Mike said out loud. Indeed, but anyway, whenever the planet was in danger, a group of heroes called the Power Rangers would always appear and defend everyone from the evil beings who threatened their world. No matter how hard it was or how close humanity came to an end, the Power Rangers would always save the day. Ren said to them. The heroes in the room couldn't help but smile from what they heard. These Power Rangers sound like the type of heroes all pros should be aiming for. As expected, even in another world there will always be villains, Aizawa Tridley said. But luckily there will always be heroes there to stop them. Tsukachi said, smile. Their fame and heroic deed has even reached other planets, Midoriya added on. So fames that even other people from the stars know about them. All Might said in awe. Not even he was able to accomplish. But it might be better to show you rather than explain our history as Power Rangers. Holo Tommy said to play the video for all to see. UA. High School Conference Room afternoon. Ren, Midoriya, Yui, Jiru, Holo Tommy, All Might, Nezu, Tsukachi, and the staff at UA begin to watch the story of the Power Rangers. Before we play the video, I would like to ask all of you to keep what you see here quiet, Holo Tommy said to them. This confused all the adults in the room. Why do you want us to keep quiet about this? Aizawa said suspiciously. Because the less people that know about this, the better, Ren said with his arms crossed. Like how you all hide All Might's secret from the public. Everyone in the room just cringed at the thought. If they're keeping this a secret, then it must be something big, like All Might's 3-hour time limit. You have my word, Tommy, that everything said in this room will not be shared with anyone, Nezu promised him. Right, then I'll start the video, Holo Tommy said as the video played. They saw an old man staring in front of the screen. Hello, my name is Tommy Oliver and I'm a Power Ranger. I, myself, was once one of these noble warriors, but my days as a ranger have long since passed. Old Tommy said. So that's the real Tommy Oliver, All Might said in wonder. He looks so old. This is the last record message Tommy made before sending away his master morpher, Holo Tommy said to them. Like he said, his days of being a Power Ranger are overdue to him reaching old age. I see, it is a shame but understandable, Nezu sadly said, as most veteran pro heroes retire due to old age as well. If we don't die from fighting villains, it will happen to us as well, Spine said, tipping his hat in respect. Nothing lasts forever, Recovery Girl said as she was at the same age too. This video diary is a confidential record. only to be viewed in case of an emergency or for the recruitment of new Power Rangers. This is the history of the Power Rangers, old Tommy said to the viewers. After 2 hours of Rangers footage, the teachers were beyond blown away by what they saw. Heroes from another universe who were quirkless, but fought against all matters of evil to protect the people of their world and other worlds. Those Power Rangers were the embodiment of what a true hero should be and have accomplished things that even the pro heroes in the room couldn't even dream of. This has got to be one of the most interesting and craziest things they have seen in their line of work as heroes. All Might was also stunned by this. It was like how One for All was passed down to many heroes. The Power Rangers had their own line of great heroes, and their legacy just keeps growing. Nezu, All Might, Tsukachi, and the staff at UA had nothing but the utmost respect for those past heroes and the ones who have yet to come to carry on their legacy. And now our story brings us here to the present, Holo Tommy said, referring to the Hero Force Rangers. Tommy sent his morpher to a different universe, hoping that a brave soul with a pure heart will carry on the legacy of the Power Rangers. He then pointed at Ren, and Ren Amamiya was that person. The Master Morpher has selected him along with Izukumidoriya, Yui Kodai, and Kyoka Jiru to become the next generation of Power Rangers. Everyone was now amazed by this. Those kids will be the next generation of the greatest heroes they have ever seen since All Might. Amazing. Truly amazing indeed. Nezu was the first to speak. After what you showed us, those Power Rangers are the most interesting group of heroes I've seen in my life. Yes, I also agree. The Power Rangers are truly worthy of the title of heroes, All Might said back in his muscle form with his famous smile. I hate to admit it, but there are even better heroes than me, he thought, remembering the story. I still think it's a pretty reckless idea to have the fate of the world relying on children to save the world, Vlad King said in disapproval from hearing that most kids were made into Power Rangers. Don't be like that, Vlad. Those kids did a good job protecting their world from threats, Cementos said. I agree with Vlad for once, Aizawa spoke out. The first team of Rangers were high school students. That plan of Zordon's was asinine. Zordon was a space wizard with years of wisdom. He must have figured that teenagers are what it takes to save the world, Spine said in Zordon's defense. That still doesn't make it any better, Aizawa said in return. You forget, Aizawa, there are no hero laws in their world, Midnight said to him. But man, it's pretty freaky the thing they have to fight on a day basis. Present Mike committed. So the Power Rangers are quirkless heroes, Recovery Girl said out loud. I guess that proves even the quirkless can be heroes, 13 said. It's still hard to believe, but the video doesn't seem to be fake, Tsukachi said, rubbing his eyes. But back to the main subject, Power Loader said. I'm curious to hear about this Morphin Grid that was meant during the Beast Morphers Rangers story. The Morphin Grid is an energy field that exists across the multiversal for all Power Rangers regardless of whether they are alien or human. Power Rangers can draw their powers from multiple specific sources that are linked to the Morphin Grid. Rangers use their morphers to create entries into the grid, and the powers are instantaneously entered into their cellular makeup when finished morphing. This is all possible since they've all connected to the grid. Holo Tommy example the Morphin Grid to the teachers. Our morphers are connected straight to the Morphin Grid, Ren said to them. And thanks to all the data Tommy added to the Master Morpher, we also have access to all the Rangers' Zords, vehicles, and weapons. A multiversal energy. That's quite the incredible discovery. Nezu said learning was such an interesting discovery. To think something like that exists, Ectoplasm said in awe. Now I'm starting to see why you wanted to keep this a secret, Hound Dog said. If a villain were to learn about this, they would use this knowledge for their own evil purposes, Midnight said in a grim tone. The heroes didn't even want to imagine fighting against an evil army of Power Rangers. It would be complete chaos, which is why Tommy asked all of you to keep quiet about this to anyone. Even the government can't know about this, Ren said. You don't want the government to know about this, All Might asked. I'll be completely honest here, I don't really trust the government, Ren said, making the heroes a little concerned. While I know that it is important to the country and the Hero Public Safety Commission, but Power Ranger technology is too dangerous. You already seen firsthand what it can do and the damage it could cause if it falls into the wrong hands. The heroes in the room can understand what the quirkless boy is saying and can agree that it would be dangerous for someone to use this technology for evil. It's not that Ren didn't trust anyone, it's just that he didn't want to be responsible for hurting someone if this got out to the public. I can understand that, All Might said, thinking about his quirk and the damage it could cause as well if he doesn't pick the right person as his successor. Yes, something like this cannot be shared with the public, Recovery Girl said. I also agree to this being kept a secret, Tsukachi said in agreement. After watching this video of the Power Rangers, it opened my eyes, Nezu said as his tone grim with his eyes closed. That there are worlds beyond our knowledge, and that we are simply not nearly as we thought we were. If aliens, demons, or dimensional creatures were to invade our world, I don't think we would survive. He then opened his eyes at the Rangers. This is why I came up with a proposition. The Hero Force Rangers will be allowed to fight against any threat that is too much for a pro hero to handle, and you all will be working together to get your hero licenses, as the Power Rangers is not recognized by the government. This shocked everyone in the room. Even the Rangers, and Holo Tommy was caught off guard by the bolded move. Nezu, you can't be serious, right? Vlad King asked. Yeah, there are still only children, 13 said in shock. Not to mention that they aren't licensed heroes yet, Tsukachi added in. Oh, I'm very serious about this of matter fact, Nezu said with his usual smile. But they aren't ordinary kids. They have abilities and technology that our world has not seen before. And what if some giant monster starts to rampage through the city? He asked them. Expected from Mount Lady and Ryukyu. There aren't that many heroes with gigantification quirks. And I believe young Amamiya and his team have what it takes to handle the problem. He explained. That still doesn't make it right. It goes against the law. Nezu and Tsukachi was cut off. I'm happy that you understand the future problems at hand, Principal Nezu, Holo Tommy said, cutting off the detective. My students will be more than happy to help out in any way possible. Oh, of course, if my ranger abilities can help you. Midoriya speaks out loud. I want to help too, sir, Jiru said in confidence. Yui nodded in agreement. I accept as well, Ren said. But on a couple of conditions. Conditions? Kid, you and your team are already being offended. A unique chance, I don't think, Aizawa said, though Nezu held up his paw to stop him. Name them, Nezu said with an unwavering smile. The Power Rangers Hero Force can operate freely whenever we wish, Ren said, making his teammates look at him in confusion. If there is trouble in front of us with no other heroes around, or if they're not up for the job, we would like to take over the situation. I can agree to that. Only if you get permission first from us, Nezu said. But what if we don't have time to get permission? Jiru asked a very good question. Then you will have to explain the situation to us when you're done, Nezu said to her. The second condition is that we might run into some potential candidates to become Power Rangers, so we would like to recruit any students at UA that the Master Morpher sees as worthy to be a ranger, and those outside of the school. Ren said, that's an excellent idea. The more members on your team the better, Nezu said with a smile. You said your Morpher chooses, but you don't, Cementos asked in confusion. It's not Ren's choice to make, nor is it mine either, Holo Tommy said. Tommy created a program in the Master Morpher called Project Grid. The program was designed to seek out those with heroic hearts and minds to become Power Rangers. They would have to first prove themselves to the Master Morpher to determine if they're worthy to use the power of legendary rangers. I see, that was smart of Mrs. Oliver to do. Power Loader agrees with the program. It sounds a lot like my quirk, All Might thought. But what if someone were to abuse the power given to them? 13 asked. Then the Master Morpher will immediately strip them of their power, Holo Tommy firmly said to them. It's a fail-safe that Tommy put into his Morpher in case a ranger were to go rogue with his or her power, Ren added in. Smart man, Aizawa said with a small smile. This Tommy Oliver sure does think ahead of everyone. Any more conditions? Nezu asked. Just one more. Is that both hero course be tough together? Ren said. What? Aizawa and Vlad King said, raising an eyebrow. I don't mean like having both classes combined into one. Ren clarified, realizing his mistake. I mean like, have the hero training exercises done together. The classes themselves can be separate. But the reason why I want that is that Yui won't be separate because she is one of us, Ren said, getting her attention. Not only that, but one of the main reasons why I don't like Hero Society is because the heroes of our era thread being a hero like it's some kind of game, Ren said in a slightly annoyed tone. This did not go unnoticed by the heroes in the room, who wanted to see what he was going to say next. Mostly every hero today doesn't even care about helping others. They're just doing this for money or to stroke their own egos. They thread hero work like it's some popularity competition. And that's not how heroes are supposed to act, Ren said in a serious tone. They're supposed to work together and not care about who gets the credit. The Power Rangers is proof that working together as a team is much more effective than others thinking for themselves instead. He explained to them. Now hold on just a minute. Heroes don't think like that. They help stop dangerous criminals and save civilians, Vlad King argued. I said mostly, not all of them. Ren corrected him. He's not wrong. Have you seen the news with most rookie heroes? Midnight said in his defense. I agree too, Aizawa said as he wasn't blinded by how most heroes behave. But still, combining the hero training exercises into one, It's a lot harder than you think, and Vlad King was then cut off. I think that's doable, Nezu said. Plus, this will aid in building inter-class relations for future activities. Having isolation between classes is irrational when training to serve the common good. We accepted your conditions. The Rangers slumped back in their chairs, sighing out breaths of relief. They didn't know how they managed it, but they did it. And now it was finally over. Well, if there's nothing left to say, then we'll be on my way, Ren said as he and the others were about to leave. Actually, there is still one more thing we need to discuss with you, Nezu said to the Rangers. And what would that be, Principal Nezu? Tommy asked. I would like everyone except the Power Rangers, myself, All Might, Recovery Girl, and Detective Tsukachi to please leave the room, Nezu said as everyone except the names he called out left the room. He made some of them leave, which means he's about to say something he doesn't want others to hear. Tommy thought. When the door closed, Tommy spoke. Is there still more you want to discuss with us, Principal Nezu? He said to the animal. Yes, there is, and it involves All Might's secret, Nezu said, getting their attention. By secret, you mean his time limit for using his powers, Ren said to them. It seems that you already know, All Might said with a heavy sigh, looking at Midoriya. I'm pretty sure that young Midoriya was the one informed about my time limit. I do, Midoriya nervously said. I only told them after they found out about why your secret. He then bowed his head. I'm sorry I told them your secret, All Might, even though you told me not to. It's quite alright, young Midoriya. I don't blame you for telling them, All Might said to the boy. But still, it's pretty concerning that our symbol of peace is getting weaker, Jiru said. Yes, 6 years ago All Might fought against a very powerful villain. He ultimately managed to win, but it resulted in him gaining a life-threatening injury that nearly cost him his life, Tsukachi said to the Rangers. Luckily, he managed to survive thanks to Recovery Girl. Honestly, I healed this fool's injury more times than I can count. I just wish he doesn't have to be reckless at times, Recovery Girl said in irritation. All Might looked the other way in embarrassment, with Nezu slightly chuckling at the remark. Ever since that day, my power has been growing weaker, and I can only maintain my muscle form for only 3 hours a day, All Might explained. Because of how much of a big deal this is, the fight and All Might's condition wasn't made public, Tommy said. Exactly, Nezu said with a nod. We couldn't let the public know about All Might's condition. If everyone were learned that the symbol of peace was growing weaker, it would be completely chaos, Yui quietly said, but was still heard. And the villains will start to grow more bolder, which will result in crime going up, Ren said in worry. Yes, my time as a hero is almost up, All Might sadly said with a frown. I say I have less than about a year left until all my power is completely gone. He then looked up at the Rangers, which is why I came to UA, to find a worthy successor to inherit my power. The 4 Rangers and Tommy are just blind at what All Might just said. He was looking for someone to inherit his power. I'm sorry, but did you just say inherit your powers? Ren double checks. Yes, All Might said, knew he was going to have to tell them his power. My quirk was actually given to me like an Olympic torch. This caused the Rangers' eyes in completely surprised by the bombshell dropped on them. Even Tommy was caught in surprise by this. Your quirk was given to you by someone else, Jiru shouted. Indeed, believe it or not, I was actually born quirkless, All Might said to them. This made Ren, Midoriya, Jiru, Kodai, and Tommy jaw drop in complete shock from the reveal. Why you were quirkless? Midoriya asked in shock. All Might sighed, accepting that reaction from them. Yes, but the idea of passing on a quirk or inheriting it just doesn't make any sense to me. I've never heard of anything like that before. Powers are supposed to be unique to each individual. I mean, since the first superpowers, no one's ever been able to just give someone else a power like a present. That's crazy. If this is true, this would cause us to rethink everything we know about quirks to begin with. Midoriya began to mutter, made noticeable by the caption, as well as the words flying out of his mouth. Everyone in the room was blind at the boy's mumbling. Does he do this often? Tsukachi asked the Rangers. Yes, they all said they were already used to Midoriya's weird quirks. I have to admit, it is interesting to see, Nezu said with a smile that everyone's sweat drops to. More like disturbing, Recovery Girl commented. Sounds like you're overthinking this whole inheriting thing, All Might commented, attempting to snap Midoriya out of it. However, the boy continued mumbling to himself, forcing All Might to yell. Stop nerding out. Thank you, Jiru said to the hero. Midoriya looked up, wide-eyed at the man upon hearing his shout. You'll have to accept this new reality and adjust to this new truth, All Might said, raising his arm out. I can transfer my quirk to someone else, and that's just one facet of my secret abilities. Makes sense. Power Rangers can do the exact same thing. Tommy thought. All Might held up his right hand, and his palm started to glow rainbow beams that were shooting out. The true name of my power. It is called One for All. One for all. Ren, Jiru, Yui, and Midoriya repeated. Yes, one person improves the power, then hands it off to another person, and continues to grow as it's passed along. This cultivated power then allows me to save those who are in need of a hero. The truth behind my strength. All Might explains, displaying the rainbow of light from his hand, leaving the Rangers in awe. Wow, Jiru said with widened. Wow, indeed, Ren said too. Yui said. Amazing. Midoriya said in awe. Fitting name for your quirk. Tommy said to him. Thanks, Tommy, All Might said with a little laugh. Back when I was still around your age, I met the previous wielder of One for All. They saw I had the potential to inherit its power and used it for the greater good. He used to become the #1 hero and revolutionize the age of heroes, Tsukachi said, remembering the good old days. And since your time as the #1 hero is running out, you come to UA to find someone to pass on One for All's power. Tommy said. Correct, but my search is finally over, All Might said happily, which confuses them. Why is that? Ren asked. Because. All Might point a finger at the Hero Force Rangers with a serious look in his eyes. Young Amamiya and young Midoriya, I'm asking which one of you wants to accept my power. Huh? Ren and Midoriya said out loud in surprise. Jiru, Yui, Tsukachi, and Recovery Girl were also surprised by this development. Nezu smiled, expecting Toshinori to do something like this. Tommy just stayed silent, listening to where this was going. You want one of them to have your power? Jiru asked with her eyes widened. Yes, I do, young Jiru, All Might said with his famous smile. I deem that they are worthy of my power. But why would you choose to give us a gift like that? Midoriya questioned. What if me and Ren can't live up to it? Like I said before, I was on a long hunt for a worthy successor, All Might explained with a smile. And then, I watched you, young Midoriya, a quirkless boy fanboy, jump into action as the rest of us stood idly by. All Might then turned to Ren. And you, young Amamiya, another quirkless boy with a device that lets you turn into heroes from the past, and showed everyone what a true hero looks like. All Might said to them. You two may be quirkless, but you tried to save that kid and stop the villain. You both acted like a hero. Midoriya's eyes were about to shed tears from the hero he admired for years. Ren just sat there and cracked a small smile from the #1 hero's words. I would also like to apologize for what I said to you a few months ago back on the rooftop, young Midoriya, All Might said, bowing his head. I told you that you couldn't be a hero without a quirk. But after seeing what you did at the entrance exam and what Tommy showed us about the Power Rangers, I fully regret on what I said and hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. He apologized to the green-haired boy. The room was silent when All Might said that. The others were a bit surprised by what All Might told Midoriya. As for Midoriya, he looked at his idol for a good few seconds before speaking. You know, All Might, what you said to me hurt. It hurts so much I was starting to hate you, Midoriya said with a little anger in his voice that made the #1 hero flinch. But I get that you said that to protect me, and I can forgive you. Thank you, young Midoriya. I promise that I will always stand by you, All Might said with a big smile while posing heroically. And do you know why? Because I am here. Midoriya slightly chunks from All Might's favorite line. So back to the main matter. I can only grant this power to one of you, as I do not think it is possible to give it to multiple people at one time. So you boys, conference with each other, and decide among yourselves on who. All Might was then cut off. All Might, Ren spoke up. If it's already with you, I would like Midoriya to have your quirk. Everyone in the room was caught off guard by what Ren said. There was no hesitation in his voice from when he spoke, as he had already made up his mind. Huh? Really, Ren? Jiru said with widened eyes. If anyone should inherit All Might's quirk, it's you, Ren. Midoriya said, feeling that Ren deserves One for All more than himself. Hold on now, young Amamiya, All Might said. You said that rather quickly. Aren't you going to think it over? Yes, this seems like a big opportunity you're missing, Tsukachi said. I already made up my mind, Ren said with a stern expression, surprising everyone in the room further than holding up 3 fingers. There are 3 reasons why I won't take your power. #1, Midoriya was the first one of us to act to save that kid while I was the second. He raised 1 finger. #2, out of the 2 of us, he has a stronger desire to become a hero than me, which would make him the perfect successor for One for All. He raised his 2nd finger. #3, I want to make a statement to everyone, that even a quirkless person like myself can be a hero. I plan to be the first ever quirkless hero, and me taking your power will defeat the purpose. He raised his final finger. Once Ren gave his 3 reasons, everyone in the room was stunned by this. They were amazed by the boy's resolve to make a statement like that. Tommy, Tsukachi, Recovery Girl, and Nezu smiled at the boy. Be prepared for the hero he'll be in the future. Yui and Jiru blush at Ren's determination, thinking of him being even more cooler. Midoriya was crying again about Ren's opinion of him, and All Might kept his shocked stare on Ren. The pure sincerity and seriousness in the quirkless boy made the symbol of peace laugh out loud. Ha ha ha, that's quite the goal you want to accomplish, young Amamiya, All Might said with a healthy laugh. After seeing you in action twice, who am I to deny you the type of hero you want to be? The number one hero then gazes upon Midoriya. Now for your answer, young Midoriya. Will you accept my power? After taking a deep breath, Midoriya looks strongly at the hero. He's told him and the other Power Rangers so much. He divulged his greatest secrets to them. And after hearing the kindness of his leader, friend, and the words of All Might telling that he can be a hero, how can he not refuse? All Might, if Ren insists that I should have your quirk instead of himself, then I shall honorably accept it, Midoriya said. No reluctance, that's exactly how I figured you'd respond, All Might said with a smirk. I expected nothing less. The number one hero then points a finger at Midoriya. Now then, let's talk about training. Since Tommy has already trained you to handle your ranger abilities, your body should be strong enough to withstand the incredible power of One for All. Wait, what do you mean by that? Midoriya asked. My quirk, One for All, is a whole lot to handle. The combined physical abilities of everyone who's used it create a hurricane of pure force. An unprepared body can't fully inherit it. Your arms and legs would shoot off if you tried to, All Might explained. When he said that, everyone in the room had a mental image of Midoriya's limbs exploding off his body, much to their horror. Seriously, Midoriya shouted in horror. Damn, that's brutal, Ren commented with a cringe. Yeah, it is. Tommy agreed with his student. Yes it is, but there's no need to worry since his body is strong enough to take my quirk, All Might said, easing their worries. After calming down, Midoriya asked his hero, so what's happened now? Now this young Midoriya, All Might said, walking up to the boy, which made Midoriya stand up from his chair. All Might plucked a hair from his head, twirling it with his fingers. Someone told me this once, that there's a difference between being lucky and deserving. One is an accident, the other a reward. Never get the two confused. Midoriya looked up, connecting their eyes with the large man. Take that to heart, young man. This gift, you've earned it with your own valiant efforts, All Might said. Midoriya and the rest of the Rangers smiled as they heard All Might's words. They knew what he said was true, and that Midoriya took pride in the fact that he did indeed earn his quirk and worthy to inherit it. With a nod back, All Might presented the strand of hair to Midoriya, who looked at it with curiosity. Eat this, All Might said as he held his strand of hair towards Midoriya. Midoriya was speechless as he slowly comprehended what the number one hero was saying. What? Ren and Jiru said at the same time in confusion. Tommy and Yui blind multiple in confusion as well. Nezu, Tsukachi, and Recovery Girl just tried to hold back their laughter from their reactions. The man rubbed the back of his neck nervously. To inherit my power, you've got to swallow some of my DNA. That's how it works, and this method is the less disgusting one, the hero explained. That kind of makes sense. Tommy thought that was the strangest way to transfer someone's power. This isn't exactly how I imagined it. Midoriya panicked. I was expecting it to be like how we got our morphers, Ren mumbled under his breath. Come on, what are you waiting for? All Might shouted. You want my power, correct? And we have to get you ready so that you're able to use One for All efficiency before your first day at UA. Then All Might took the strand of hair and forced Midoriya to swallow it, making the boy cringe as he stopped his gag reflex and swallowed as hard as he could, feel the strand of hair going down his throat. That was gross, Jiru said, holding her hand over her mouth, looking a little green. Good. You swallowed it? Yes, All Might asked as Midoriya finished. Midoriya's stomach churned, sighing as he looked down at his hands. Yeah, but I don't feel like anything's different yet. Really? Hey, I thought it would have happened immediately like how we get our ranger powers, Jiru said. All Might threw his head back in laughter, spreading out his arms. Well, of course not. Young Midoriya's body has to process the hair first. He turned, glancing at a nearby clock. It should kick in after 2, maybe 3 hours. But we can start your training pretty soon, All Might said, pouring a glass of water for Midoriya, who accepted it. That sounds like a good idea. And if you don't mind me asking, can you let Ren, Jiru, and Yui join in on your training with Midoriya? Tommy asked, confusing the three of them. Huh? They said. I know you have to train Midoriya to get hold of a One for All, but I also have to develop him and the other Rangers' abilities too. And having them spare against someone like you will help their growth. Tommy explains to him. That sounds like an excellent idea. Nezu agreed. Sure thing, Tommy. It would be my pleasure to train the next generation of Power Rangers to find heroes. All Might yelled, laughing with his fist on his waist. I don't know if I should be honored or terrified by this, Ren said to himself. Team. It's less we're doing this together, Midoriya said with a nervous smile. Doesn't make it any better, dude. Jiru said in return. Yeah, Yui quietly said. Don't be like that, young heroes. Tsukachi getting their attention. You're lucky enough to get pointers from the #1 hero himself, he said with a slight chuckle. The Hero Force Rangers just slightly laughed it off as well and was kind of looking forward to training with All Might himself. Midoriya's head bent down with a small gloomy smile. All my life people told me I couldn't be a hero because I was quirkless. When I was younger, everyone around me started to get their quirks except for me, and that's when everything started to go to hell for me, Midoriya said, sadly, getting everyone's attention. All my classmates started to thread me differently for something I couldn't help. No one said anything. They were listening to Midoriya's story in silence. Ren, on the other hand, can understand what Midoriya was going through because he was in the exact same boat as Midoriya. Every day I was bullied and beaten up by the other kids just because I said I still wanted to be a hero, he explained, making the adults in the room gasp in shock. You were bullied for being quirkless? All Might asked in shock. Yes, Midoriya said with a frown. And I know the one responsible for it. If you don't mind me asking, who was the ringleader behind your bullying? Tsukachi asked the boy. Midoriya hesitated to say because he still believed that Bakugou could be an amazing hero someday and didn't want to mess up his chance. The boy's name is Katsuki Bakugou, Holo Tommy said in Midoriya's place. Katsuki Bakugou, isn't that the kid that came in 5th place on the exam and was taken hostage by the sludge villain that you tried to save? He was your bully, All Might asked, realizing who the familiar name was. Yes, Izuku said, and this shocked the All Might, Tsukachi, Nezu, and Recovery Girl listening to him. What? How can the teachers allow something like that to happen to you? Recovery Girl asked. Because they didn't care, Ren said, getting their attention with an irritating look on his face. Midoriya was quirkless and Bakugou had a powerful quirk, so they pretty much let him do what he wanted because they didn't want to mess up his chances to become a hero. But in the end, it only had the opposite effect, correct? Nezu asked. Yes, you see, me and Kaken were best friends. We both admired All Might and both wanted to be heroes. When he manifested his quirk, he was praised a lot for having a wonderful quirk, and no matter what he did, he was always good at it. This fed his ego and he thought of himself very highly. When he learned I was quirkless, it felt like we were started being strangers, he bitterly said. He bullied and tormented me for years. Kaken made it his duty to beat any notion of being a hero that I had out of me, and the idea seemed to offend him on a personal level. He thought of everyone very lowly and that they were just stepping stones for his success. He thinks that the entire world revolves around him, and because of me being quirkless, Kaken constantly bullying me, nobody wanted to be friends and get involved with me. I was left alone, forgotten, and treated like trash, Midoriya said, looking at the window reminiscing about the past. The 4 other adults in the room, blood was boiling from hearing the boy's torment. The 3 other Rangers already know but were still pissed by this. But that's not the half of it, Holo Tommy said with a frown. There's still more, All Might asked in surprise. Yeah, it gets worse, Jiru said, knowing what Midoriya was going to say next. One of the last conversations I had with Kaken involved him telling me to jump off a building so I could maybe have a quirk in my next life, Midoriya said to them. The silence was all that was heard from the 4 adults, shocked to hear that one of their future students had baited another to suicide. All Might's blood boiled as steam was coming off his muscle form and clenched his fist. To think someone like that was even allowed to take part in the UA entrance exam, All Might said, angry at himself. That doesn't sound like something a hero would say, Tsukachi said with a disappointing frown as his quirk could tell that Midoriya wasn't lying. No, it doesn't. That's something a villain would say, Recovery Girl said with anger. Indeed, he's even worse than I originally thought, Nezu said with a disappointed look. This boy might turn out even worse than Endeavor if left unchecked, he thought in worry. It's all right, young Midoriya. We will be sure to give him a bit of lecture about his past actions and blacklist him from UA. Completely, Nezu said, trying to cheer up the boy. No, you don't have to do that. Please let Kaken stay, Izuku pleaded to them. Midoriya, are you defending someone who bullied you, destroyed your childhood, and suicide baiting you? If only you can hear what you're saying right now, Recovery Girl said, scolding the freckled boy. Yeah, dude, you have no reason to defend that jerkwad, after all the crap he put you through over the years, Jiru said to her teammate. Yui agrees with them. I know that what Kaken did is terrible, Midoriya said. Terrible? Young man, I can easily arrest him for what he said to you, Tsukachi said with a frown. but he worked hard for his spot. He might have bad behavior and attitude problems, but he has the talent and skill to back it up. It doesn't take just a good quirk to get 5th in the UA entrance exam. He should have been the one who finished 2nd in the entrance exam. He put in the effort and worked extremely hard, Midoriya said, defending his former friend. The only reason I was able to get 2nd place in the entrance exam was because of my ranger powers, and Tommy, Ren, Jiru, and Yui all helped me. I did put in the work myself, but I feel like I got lucky when Tommy afforded me the opportunity to be a Power Ranger. Midoriya, Ren thought, when it comes to being stubborn and determined, nobody tops Kaken. So I want him to keep his spot in UA, so I can surpass him and prove that someone like me can be a hero. Hopefully, his attitude might change if someone he once thought lower than him were to beat some sense into him. You might start to see he isn't as strong think he is, Izuku said, giving a bright genuine smile at them. Everyone in the room was looking at Midoriya like he was the kindest person on the planet. He was willing to let the person who tormented him his whole life become a hero so he could change him into a better person. Tommy just smiled proudly at his student. This kid's really is something else. You make a very convincing argument, young Midoriya, Nezu said, being happy that Izuku was willing to give someone a second chance. We will allow Katsuki Bakugou to keep his place here at UA, he said, making Midoriya smile. Thank you, Principal Nezu, Midoriya said, bowing. I swore. Midoriya, you're way too nice for your own good, Ren said, shaking his head but was proud of his friend. Sheesh, All Might, look at the successor that you choose, always looking at the best out of people, Recovery Girl said, sighing at Midoriya's decision. I don't agree with you, Chio, but as his mentor, I'll support his decision, so don't regret this after all, okay? All Might transforms back to his true form, looking seriously at his successor. Thank you for listening to my foolish request. Izuku bowed. Foolish, yes, but still kind. You're going to make an excellent hero someday, kid, Tommy said, making his student blush in embarrassment. But still, you will have to work on fixing young Bakugou's behavior so it doesn't be a problem in the future. Tsukachi in concern. You don't have to worry about that, Tsukachi. I put him in Aizawa class so he can keep an eye on young Bakugou and put him in check if he ever steps out of line, Nezu said to him. Tsukachi nodded in approval. Aizawa was known to deal with problem children like Bakugou, and straight up, well, if we're done here, can we go? Jiru asked. Yes, we've taken up enough of your time, Nezu said with a nod. Alright then, let's meet up on our training grounds at Dragaba Beach Park, Ren suggests. Dragaba Beach Park. I heard that some civilians were responsible for cleaning up the garbage on the beach, Tsukachi said in wonder. Why, yeah, that was us, Midoriya said with his hand up. The 4 adults looked at them in surprise. That was all of you? Toshinori asked in surprise. Yep, I suggest it was the perfect way to start their training, Tommy said to them. Hahaha, not even heroes yet and you're already helping the community, Toshinori said with a smile. Meet me at Dragaba Beach Park in 2 days at 5 AM sharp. Right, we'll be there, Midoriya responded. And I look forward to seeing you all at UA in the next month, Nezu said with a smile. Yes, and I look forward to the amazing heroes you Power Rangers will be in the future. Tsukachi bowed to them. Right, looking forward to that as well, Principal Nezu and Detective Tsukachi, Ren said, getting up from his seat, along with the rest of his team. With that done, let go home everyone, Tommy said, with the Hero Force Rangers leaving UA and waiting for their training with the #1 hero, Amamiya Resident Morning. 1 month later. It's been over a month since Toshinori transferred One for All to Midoriya, and also working on his control over his quirk. He was also helping Ren, Yui, and Jiru with their ranger training. They would all spare against Toshinori in his muscle form, which was pretty difficult even when they morphed since he was so strong and had more experience when it came to fighting. After watching All Might move up close, Midoriya realizes that he was using One for All wrong. He's just been turning it on and off whenever he uses it as if it is an external weapon, sort of like a gun or sword. He learned that One for All extensions of his entire body and started to focus the power in not just one part of his body but all of it instead, like his ranger powers. Now Midoriya can effectively use One for All without much of a problem, and even invited his own fighting style called Full Cowling. Midoriya was now able to use One for All power at 12% and at a very proficient level. If he were about to go over his limits, he would strain his body or break his bones. So All Might warned him to only use the amount of power he can handle until he can develop his body even more to handle more of One for All's power. Jiru earphones jacks are much more stronger and durable than ever before. She can create more powerful shockwaves than before thanks to Toshinori training and use even more of the wolf spirit's power without difficulty. Yui Sai's quirk activated speed has improved a little as well, and so has her ranger abilities. Ren has improved his muscles and all his ranger abilities since he doesn't have a quirk. His marital arts have improved as well and was one of the strongest fighters on his team when it came to hand combat. Toshinori saw the progress that the Rangers were making during their sparring matches, practically getting stronger, faster, and better every day. It almost scared him how fast they were growing. He has never seen so many young students be able to adapt and increase the output of their quirks almost flawlessly. Even Amamiya Ranger's abilities have improved dramatically from his spares with him. Holotommy made upgrades to their morphers so that Midoriya, Jiru, and Yui can use their quirks even when they are morph in their ranger forms. Holotommy had to admit that Toshinori's combat training was pretty effective in developing the Rangers' strength and skills. Now a month of training has passed, and the Hero Force Rangers has grown stronger from the pro's guidance. And today was finally the day he was looking for. On his first day at UA, Ren was in his room getting ready for school. He had on his new uniform. His uniform was a long-sleeve gray jacket with blue-green stripes. His jacket was opened, and under it, he'd had a white long-sleeve hoodie just like his old middle school uniform. His pants were dark blue-green, with the Master Morpher on his left wrist. Not bad. Ren looked at himself in the mirror. Well, time to go. Ren then left his room and walked downstairs to the living room to where my dad was. Hey, Dad, Ren said to his father. Morning, Ren. Are you ready for your first day at UA? Kenji asked his son. Yep, he said. Just do your best out there and be the best you can be. Kenji gives advice to his son, putting his arm on Ren's shoulder. I will, Dad. Ren nodded. Ren made his way to the door and opened it. I'll see you later, Ren said to his dad. I'm getting off early, so I'll see you home later, Kenji informed Ren. Ren nodded and left his house, closing the door behind him. You should hurry. Don't want to be late on your first day. Holotommy advice. Ren nodded to the AI. Time to be a hero, Ren said, walking off. UA High School front entrance morning. The four Rangers dressed in their new school uniforms were now standing outside of the building of their new school. Out of all of them, Midoriya was the most excited. He still couldn't believe it. A year ago, this whole thing situation would have been a dream, but seeing it in reality teared up him a bit. He was lucky to pass considering the rate of passing is incredibly low. Midoriya was lucky enough to meet Tommy and Ren to become a Power Ranger, one of the greatest groups of heroes he's ever seen since All Might. And now after reserving All Might's quirk, he was density to become the next symbol of peace. Easy there, buddy. Holotommy smiled at the green-haired boy. If you keep standing at the entrance, then how can you go beyond or be a ranger? Ren said with a smile. Midoriya wipes the tears from his eyes. Sorry, it's just, thank you both. If I hadn't met the two of you, I don't think I would be here right now, being a Power Ranger, passing the exam, and becoming All Might's successor. He happily said. I feel the same as Midoriya too, Jiru said, rubbing her left arm in embarrassment. If not for meeting Ren, I never would have gotten this far on my own. So thanks for your help, Tommy. I like to thank you as well, Tommy, Yui said to the AI. Same here, Ren nodded. There's no reason to thank me. You kids had the potential to do amazing things. All I did was just guide you in the right direction. Holotommy said to his students. Now it's time to enter your hero academia. The four of them run towards the building with smiles on their faces, really to face what UA has for them. UA High School classroom one morning. Ren, Midoriya, Yui, and Jiru were walking into the building heading to their classroom. Midoriya glanced at the wall as he and the others searched for their classroom. Class 1A, 1A, come on, where is it? He let out a small gasp when he noticed the sign for the room. There, they see a giant door and a sign that says 1A. That's a big door, Ren and Jiru thought together. Midoriya's eyes widened as they traveled up the humongous door. Man, this thing is huge. Are there giants here? He clenched his backpack, lips wobbly as he put on a determined face. The most promising students in the country are waiting here. If this is 1A, then 1B should be close by, Ren said as his eyes drifted to Yui. I should get going then, Yui spoke up. Later. See ya, Yui, Ren said to her. Yui nodded and then left the group as she had to her class. Man, it sucks that Kodai isn't in the same class as us, Jiru said, feeling bad for the quiet girl. Can't be helped. Vlad King wanted one of us in his class to make things fair, Midoriya said. Let's just head inside, Ren said, opening the door to reveal his new classroom and classmates. Take your feet off of that desk now. A familiar blue-haired boy was yelling at another familiar blonde-haired boy. Bakugou smirked, taking pleasure in annoying the boy. Hua, it's the first day and you're already disrespecting this academy by scuffing school property, you cretin, Ida said, scolding him. The three rangers were standing in the doorway looking at the argument between Bakugou and Ida. Jiru had a confused look on her. Midoriya was both surprised and scared, and Ren's eyes were twitching in annoyance. Class hasn't even started yet and those two are already irritating. Ren thought, annoyed as they were the last two people he wanted to be sucked into a class with. Ren looked around the rest of the class to see the other students wearing UA uniforms. He sees Bakugou, Ida, Aoyama, and some new faces. The first student was Mina Ashido. She is a medium-height girl, possibly said a little more broadly than some female, with healthy thighs. Her skin is a light shade of pink, and she has somewhat square-shaped eyes, with a black sclere and light yellow irises, and notably long eyelashes below and around the sides of her eyes. Her face is framed by short hair, fluffy and unruly, which is a pink color, slightly darker than her skin's. She has two thin, pale yellow horns protruding from her head, hooked squarely and leaning diagonally to opposite sides, which seem to be slightly flexible, able to bend a bit to each side. The second student was Tsuyua Sui. She is a short girl of a relatively slender build and has notably large hands. Her appearance is rather frog-like. She has a very wide mouth, which dips down a little in the middle just like that of a common frog, and oval-shaped eyes with large, black irises, their lower eyelashes visibly pronounced. Her hair is a dark sea green color and is very long, reaching all the way to her waist with the ends tied together at the bottom in a large bow of hair. She has two shoulder-length clumps framing her face and shorter bangs between her eyes, some of them partially swept to each side. The third student was Mashirawa Jiro. He is a young man of muscular build and has short blonde hair swept to the front of his head. He has thin eyes with no lower eyelashes. Unlike the other students in his class, he wears pale gray sneakers with his school uniform instead of the brown dress shoes worn by everyone else, and the bottom button of his blazer he leaves casually undone. Due to his quirk, he also has a tail. The fourth student was Denki Kaminari. He is a relatively short blonde hair, parted to the right with a black lightning-shaped streak on the left of his side fringe, which is angled so that it partially obscures his left eye. He has slanted, somewhat triangular yellow eyes, and notably small eyebrows. He's slimmer than most of the other male students in the class, not having much visible muscle mass. The fifth student was Eijiro Kirishima. He is a muscular young man of average height and a rather impressive physique for his young age. He has red eyes that are pointed slightly inwards and a small scar just above his right eye. He also has small eyebrows and pointed teeth. His hair is somewhat long, dyed a bright red, and spiked away from his head at all angles with gel. Two more pronounced tufts spiked on either side of his forehead like little horns. The sixth student was Koji Koda. He is a tall young man of a wide, muscular build with peach-colored skin. His head takes the form of a rock, which is unevenly shaped and pointed at the top of his head, and his jaw is square-shaped. The seventh student was Rikido Sato. He is a tall, very muscular young man with a wide build. His brown hair is short and spiked upwards away from his head. He has rather small, square-shaped eyes with small black pupils and has a pair of bushy eyebrows just above. He has very large and thick lips which are slightly darker in color than the rest of his skin, and a notably large, round nose. The eighth student was Mizo Shoji. He is a tall, muscular young man with pale gray hair swept forwards, covering most of his face, and bent downwards at almost a right angle over his eye. He has 6 arms, all attached to each other by a web of skin, which are very physically strong, and while his quirk is not in use, only the front 2 arms have hands, the rest ending in thin stumps. He has a slightly elongated face, his eyes set more towards the sides. He has always kept hidden by a blue mask, which covers him from just below his eyes to the base of his neck. The 9th student was Hanta Siro. He is a tall, lean young man with chin-length black hair spiked downwards, with jagged bangs coming about halfway down his forehead. He has almond-shaped eyes, usually stretched quite wide, and rather large, with small pupils, straight teeth that dominate his grinning. He has a rather plain face. The 10th student was Fumikage Takoyami. He is a short young man with the head of a black bird, possibly supposed to resemble that of a crow or a raven. He has a tan, yellowish beak which is slightly hooked down at the end, thin, red eyes with a small black pupil, one on each side of his head, and a red choker which he rarely removes. Despite the appearance of his head, however, his body is of normal human shape, with rather fair skin. The 11th student was Shoto Todoroki. He is a reasonably tall and rather muscular young man who is well built for his age. He has quite long hair, though it doesn't pass his neck, and wears bangs, parted twice as to not obscure his vision. His hair is evenly split between two colors, white on his right side and crimson red on his left. He also possesses heterochromia iridium, which causes his left eye's iris to appear turquoise, while his right is a somewhat brownish dark gray. His eyes, in shape, are quite thin and reserved, and he also has a large burn scar on the left side of his face, which reaches from his hairline to halfway down his cheek. The 12th student was Toru Hagakure. She is a fairly short girl with a completely invisible body. She was wearing a UA, female uniform covering her body. Her body appears to be slender yet fairly curvaceous. The 13th student was Minoru Maita. He is a very short teenage boy with a large, round head and rather puffy cheeks. His nose is small, stubby and points slightly upwards, and he has an unusually distinguishable philtrum. Oval-shaped eyes with large, black pupils, and notably thin eyebrows. He has 4 large purple and black balls and something resembling a mohawk where his hair should be. And the final student was Momoye Yurazu. She is a tall teenage girl with a rather mature physique. She has long black hair that is normally tied into a spiky ponytail with a large strand hanging on the right side of her face. Her eyes are thin and sharp, dark in color and paired with short eyebrows set in a determined expression. Ren thought they were some interesting people, probably with some amazing quirks. But his thoughts were cut off with all the noise Bakugou and Ida were making. "You're kidding me, right?" Bakugou laughed, causing the glasses boy to step backward. "Your old school put a stick up your ass, or were you born with it?" he said arrogantly. Ren just rolled his eyes to this. One guy was uptight and always follow the rule, and the other was an arrogant dick who thinks he's better than everyone. Why does he have to get a class with these two? Ida opened his mouth to speak before pausing, then placing his hand on his chest. "Let's start over." He reached his other arm out. "I'm Tenya Ida from the Sumi Private Academy," he said, trying to be nice. The blonde boy's face twisted into one of annoyance, his head tilting from side to side. "Sumi, huh? So you must think you're better than me. I'm gonna have fun tearing you a new one," Bakugou said with an evil smile. "You would threaten me, your own classmate. Are you sure you're in the right place?" Ida said, gasping, sweat droplets appearing on him as he pulled backwards. Bakugou scoffed before turning towards the door, catching Ida's attention as well. "It's them," Ida said, staring at the rangers. The entire class heads turned their attention to the 3 rangers, causing Midoriya to become flustered nervously, Jiru to look down, and Ren to sigh with his eyes closed. "So much for keeping a low profile," Ren sarcastically thought. Great, Jiru mumbles under her breath, not wanting to be the center of attention. "Of hi," Midoriya said, looking nervous with his eyes looking the other way. Ida walked over to them, unintentionally in an aggressive way. "Good morning. My name is Tenya Ida from the boy didn't get the chance to finish his sentence. Midoriya put his hands up. "Why yeah, we heard," Midoriya said, making Ida pause while the boy introduced himself, a slightly worried expression on his face. "I'm izukumidoriya. It's super nice to meet you," he said as his body was shaking. "Hey man, Kyoka Jiru," she said with a nod. "Ren Amamiya," Ren said to the boy. When they said their names, the entire class gasped in shock. "Wait, aren't those the 3 names that scored the most points on the entrance exam?" Kaminari said in surprise. "That's them," Sato asked. "Yeah, they are. There were 4 students who were able to get over 200 points, Mina said out loud. "And 3 of them are in our class." "So manly," Kirishima yelled in excitement. Bakugou was shocked to hear those names. He already knew Deku beat him, but now he sees the 2 other extras responsible for upstanding him. What makes it even worse is that one of them is the wannabe hero who got first place. Bakugou was gritting his teeth in frustration. 3 out of the 4 students who performed excellently on the exam will be my classmates, Ida whispered in happiness. "Amamiya, Jiru, and Midoriya, please forgive my rude behavior," he yelled while bowing to them. The 3 said, not expecting that from Ida. "Well, that was unexpected," Holotami commented. "Amamiya, you were right about everything you said. Back at the auditorium and battle center, I belittled Midoriya because I didn't know anything about him and accused him of false accusation," Ida said, feeling guilty for his actions. "The 3 of you, including that other girl, are truly superior to me in every way. So I ask all of you for your forgiveness." Ren just blinked a few times, not expecting that from him. Ida raised her head. Ren said as Speedster did as he said. "First, we don't think of ourselves as superior to you or anyone else in class. Second, there's no need to be serious about something that isn't even a big deal. Third, you need to learn to think before you speak, or else it will lead to misunderstanding in the future. And lastly, there's no need for you to apologize for anything. Just learn from your mistakes and become better from it," Ren said to Ida as he reached his hand out for a handshake. "Ren's right, Ida. You don't have to apologize for anything," Midoriya said, holding up his hands. "Yeah dude, just learn to chill out once in a while." Nobody likes an uptight person, Jiru said to the serious student. Ida was a bit stunned by this but shook Ren's hand in return. You're right. Thank you all for your forgiveness. I will work on ensuring that I won't make the same mistake again in the future, Ida said to them for releasing his hand. You all realized there was something more to the practical exam, didn't you, when you stopped the zero-pointer to rescue that trapped girl? You must be very perceptive. And I completely misjudged you all, Ida said in a more serious tone, bowing. A sweat drop appeared on the back of Ren, Midoriya and Jiru's heads. Kid needs to tone it down a bit. Holo Tommy sweat drops as well. Sorry, but we actually didn't realize anything, Midoriya said with a sweat drop. You didn't? Ida said with a stepped look. No, Ren shook his head. We didn't know anything about the rescue points. We only found out about it when we got our results. We helped that girl because it was the right thing to do, and saving others is what a real hero does, Jiru said. Ida just gasped at this revelation and bowed his head again to the Rangers. You all truly embody the hearts of heroes, and I would love to learn from your example. Ida doesn't seem like that much of a bad guy, Ren thought, and decided to give him another chance. Hey, I recognize you three. You're those Ranger guys, a female voice said. Ren, Midoriya, Jiru, and Ida turned to see the voice of the person. It is Yurikara standing in the doorway. She wears the regular UA uniform, which consists of a gray dress jacket with green stripes, the thin one below the thick one, 2 pockets, and gold buttons, a white dress shirt, a red tie, a black pleated skirt, black tights, and brown slip-on shoes instead of the usual knee-high socks worn by her other female classmates. It's that girl we saved, Ren thought. Oh my gosh, it's that nice girl who talked to me. She looks good in that uniform, Midoriya thought with a blush causing him to ignore her talking. I have to say, you guys were super cool out there. The transformation, fighting those robots, and that giant crab robot you summoned to take down the zero-pointer. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. The brown-haired hair girl jumped into the air, grinning as she pumped her arm. Oh, by the way, my name is Ochako Uraraka. The girl introduced herself. Oh, hey, hi, Midoriya said nervously, turning red. His face dripped with sweat, though he soon blocked it with his hands. Oh my gosh, so I should probably be thanking you for going in and talking to him, Midoriya said to her. Huh? How do you know about that? Uraraka said, questioned. Oh, what? Midoriya said, trying to say something to the girl. Smooth move, Midoriya, Jiru thought with a chuckle. Meanwhile, Bakugou was glaring angrily at Ren and Midoriya, 2 quirkless weaklings who beat him at the entrance exam. He clenched his fist in anger and wanted nothing more than to immediately blow those 2 losers to hell for challenging him. Aldera Junior High afternoon. Flashback. 1 month ago, Bakugou dragged Midoriya into an alleyway to confront him on why he was following through on his pointless dream after telling him not to sign up for UA. It was already bad enough that Deku passed the exam, but he also got 2nd place on it while he was in 5th place. 5th place. He not only lost to Deku of all people but was outshined by 3 other extras who dared to challenge his superiority. Bakugou was so pissed off right now he felt like murdering someone, specifically a quirkless nerd that needed to be put in his place. The blonde slammed Midoriya against a wall and gripped his shirt as he threatened the boy. What did you do to pass the exam? Bakugou said, demanding answers. You must have cheated somehow, right? I'm supposed to be the first and only student from this awful school to get into UA, but you just had to go and mess everything up. I warned you not to apply. Kachin, Midoriya said, grabbing Bakugou's wrist tightly and twisting it to let go of the bully grip on his shirt. Bakugou slightly screams in pain from his grip. What the hell? How is he this strong? He thought before looking back at Midoriya, which made him slightly flinch. Midoriya was glaring at him instantly with an angry look on his face. There were those people that I met. Despite knowing that I didn't have a quirk, they still told me that I can become a hero. That's why I applied. That's why I'm going, Midoriya said with determination in his voice. You can insult me, hurt me, or even treat me, but it won't stop me from following my dream. He then releases his grip from Bakugou's wrist and pushes him on the ground, which surprises the arrogant boy. I'm going to UA to become a hero, and whether you like it or not, you can't stop me. So why don't you give up on trying to make me give up? Midoriya declared before walking away, leaving the stunned bully to let his words sink in. Bakugou just watched Midoriya walk away in the direction, but soon got back on his feet and had a very angry look on his face. This was the first time Deku ever stood up to him, and it only increased his hatred for the green-haired boy. Damn you, Deku. Bakugou clenches his fist in anger. I'm going to make you pay for this. UA. High school morning. Present. Bakugou glared downwards, thinking of what Midoriya said to him. I'm gonna ruin that little punk, right after I figured out how he got in. He thought, looking away from Midoriya and then to Ren. And that goes double for that damn wannabe. Urikara then looked around the room to see where the fourth ranger was. So hey, where's that other girl? The one with the short black hair? She asked. Yes, I remember seeing one other person with you at the exam, Ida said. You talking about Yui, right? Ren asked, getting a nod from her. She ended up being in class 1B. Oh, I see. Well, that's disappointing, she won't be in our class, Ida said, passing up his glasses. But she was still accepted either way. Yeah, you're right, Urikara said, being positive. What do you think we're doing today besides orientation? The brown hair girl asked, smiling widely as she moved her arms up and down. I wonder what our teachers are like. I can't wait to meet everybody, Urikara said in excitement. If you want to know, then he's right behind you, Ren said, pointing to the ground. Everyone looked where Ren was pointing and gasped in bewilderment to see a dark-haired man in a yellow sleeping bag appearing to be dead tired. Impressive. I shouldn't have expected any less from the Hero Force Rangers leader. But more importantly, if you're just here to make friends, then pack up now. A dark-haired, scruffy looking man in a sleeping bag. Welcome to UA's Hero Course, Aizawa said tiredly, unzipping his bag slightly. He pulled out a fruit pouch, finishing it off quickly as he still lay on the ground. Midoriya, Jiru, Ida, and Uraraka looked on in horror. What is that thing? They all thought in unison. Is that Mrs. Aizawa? Ren thought, looking at him. Well, that just happened. Tommy thought, looking at the Aizawa. It took 8 seconds before you all shut up. That's not gonna work. Time is precious. Rational students would understand that, Aizawa said, releasing himself from the sleeping bag. Huh? It's Eraserhead. Midoriya observing Aizawa. He looks so worn out. What's his deal? That's right, I forgot he was our teacher. Jiru remembers the meeting from last month. Aizawa glanced to the side, facing the rest of the class. Hello, I'm Shota Aizawa, your homeroom teacher, he said to the class. He's our teacher. Everyone thought in shock and surprise, except for the rangers who already knew. Bakugou, Todoroki, Yaoyorozu, and Tokoyami shared words of bemusement over who their instructor was. Right, let's get to it, Aizawa said, pulling a PE uniform from his sleeping bag. Put these on and head outside, he said, leaving the classroom. With that said, everyone got up from their seat to grab a PE uniform. It is a pair of dark blue pants with white vertical lines going up the legs and a dark blue short-sleeved shirt with white lines that form the letters U. And now that they got a gym uniform, the class when a student headed to the locker rooms to change. Power Rangers Hero Force members. Ranamiya Ranger forms. Quirk, Quirkless, leader of the Hero Force Rangers. Izukumidoriya Ranger forms. Green Mystic Ranger, Quirk, one for all. Yui Kodai Ranger forms. Red Overdrive Ranger, Quirk, size. Hyokajiru Ranger forms. Jungle Fury Wolf Ranger, Quirk, earphone jack. And 13 more Rangers to join in. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.